by Councilmember John Adams, who will then lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Hey, fantastic. Thank you so much. We have an awesome meeting, so I'm going to go quick. I'll share a quick quote and then follow up with a prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. The quote that I wanted to share is one of my favorite quotes. It's called, "That which we persist in doing becomes easier, not because the nature of the thing changes, but that our ability to do it increases." And, you know, having the pastor here today, we were talking out in the foyer about how we need to be more loving and more kind. And I feel like that's something that as we persist in doing, that becomes easier and more natural. And so I'd encourage everybody to do that. And as we go into this, I'm going to say a quick prayer and then the Pledge of Allegiance. Our Father in heaven, we gather as a community tonight and ask Thee to, we first want to thank Thee so much for all that Thou hast blessed us with. We're grateful that so many of the fires have been able to be contained. We're grateful for the nice weather that we've received. We ask Thee continually for more moisture and ask Thee, especially tonight, that we can be a good community and be cordial and kind in all that we do. We say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen. Okay. On me, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Adams.
Thank you, Mayor.
For those that are new to our council meeting, we have call to the public, which is at the beginning of our meeting. People signed up. There was a sign-up sheet outside of the door. People have 3 minutes to speak, and we will listen politely. We ask everyone to please hold applause and any comments to yourself so that people can freely speak. Let's see, where is my sign up? I don't have it. Oh, here it comes. Okay. Oh, thank you. Okay, so if you'll come up in this order, it would be great. Danny Hammond, Gary Urusk. Oh, I'm so bad with the last names, Gary, sorry. Urusk. Jennifer Borup, Curtis Cragen, and then Laurie Cragen. Thanks.
Okay. Well, Mayor and Council and members of the community, Danny Hammond, I'm here on behalf of the Young Automotive Group. First off, I just want to tell you thank you for being a great partner with us. Not only do you buy and use our services quite a bit, but you're also a great place to own and operate a business, and we appreciate that public and private partnership that we have with you guys. And so what brings me here to talk to you tonight is I wanted to let you know about a few things that we're doing at the Young Automotive Group that you might not know or have heard about. So obviously you think of us when it comes to vehicle sales and things like that. But we also have recently added a few things to our library of services that we provide the public, one of which is being a fully upfitting department for police and emergency services vehicles. So we can order your car, we can put the decals on it, the sirens, lights, and prisoner cages and all the stuff, and when you come and pick it up, it's done and ready to go, and everything's all done under one umbrella. You don't got to shuttle vehicles around. It's all done and taken care of. We do that through TNT Upfitting. The next service I wanted to talk to you about is a collision repair service. So we have 3 collision centers, 2 in Layton, 1 in Ogden, and we're going to open a big one up in Logan and Cache County. And when I came on with the Young Automotive Group, I've worked in the public sector for 29 years. I was a fleet manager, and when I retired and went to work for Young's, I said the biggest thing you got to do is get on state contract and start doing government collision repairs, because we're always in need of honest, fair companies who do a good job and can turn around those vehicles quickly. And so we offer those services, and when you have vehicles like police cars and fire trucks, the stuff that you need to do your business as a city, we give you first available bay, we get it right in and we get it right out and get it done all on state contract pricing, and we're able to do that for you. The last one that I'm going to talk to you about is one I'm a little bit excited about. You guys have a fire department, but we recently became a dealer for towing fire trucks. And so now if you come to a point as a council and you're going to just make a decision to purchase a new fire vehicle, we'd love to come in and give you a bid and talk to you about what towing fire trucks are and what they can do for you. They've been in business for, I think, since about 1930 or 40. They're big back east and they're working their way west. They're a great company, very reputable, and we'd love to help you get a vehicle there and be able to do that on good, reliable pricing. And so just kind of in closing, thank you so much for your partnership with us at the Young Automotive Group. You're a great city, and you guys do a great job with attracting businesses, and you're a great partner, and I appreciate that on behalf of the Youngs. Have a great night.
Thank you so much. For those that don't know, Young Automotive also hosts our Kaysville Gives staging area. They've done that, I believe, for the last 4 years. They allow us to set up all of our staging at their location, and we take up the whole showroom, and it's an incredible thing. So you guys are a great community partner as well, so thank you. All right, Gary, thanks.
Yeah, my name is a hard name all my life. When I give my name, I just spell it for people. I'm here to talk about the DADU that you'll be talking in your work session. We sent you an email kind of outlining from a group of us, so I'm not going to go over that. You had a chance to read that. I just want to talk just for a minute from the 60,000 foot level, because what you'll be discussing on that is relationship between neighbors. And, you know, I've lived in my house for 30 years, and the neighbor on one side of me was there before I moved in. He accepted me, and we've had a wonderful relationship over the years. Our kids grew up together, and they're still friends as adults. And that's what makes a neighborhood, is neighbors taking care of neighbors. And what the state legislature has done is put another dynamic into this relationship that sometimes get very complicated between neighbors because we're human beings. And so now you've got neighbor, and then a neighbor that has a rental unit, probably in his backyard, that now you have to work through all of those issues. And so we would just ask you, just as you deliberate on this, to be cognizant of those relationships that are in your neighborhoods and try to make them work as best as they can so that we all get along good together. And so just ask you to keep that in mind. And thank you for your service. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Gary.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Borup. I'm a Kaysville resident. I have two specific numbers I want to talk about. This has to do with also the state bill 284. The first is lot size. The state requires the city to allow detached accessory dwelling units on lots of 11,000 square feet or larger. 11,000. That's the number the legislature chose. Now, I've seen versions of this discussion where that number drifts down to 10,000. I've heard people float 8,000, even 6. So I looked up what these numbers actually mean on the ground. 11,000 square feet is just barely over a quarter acre, 0.25 acres. That is already a modest lot. Drop it to 8,000 and you're inviting these units onto lots across nearly the entire city. Here's my point. 11,000 square feet is not just the state's number. It's the most protective number you are allowed to set. Every step below it is a choice the city makes on its own. And once you lower that threshold, lowering it further next year gets easier, and raising it back is nearly impossible. Please hold the line at 11,000. You can always go lower later. You can't go back up. My second number is height. I asked this council to limit detached units to a single story with a maximum height of 20 feet. I know the response to this. Some will say, but people want a garage with a living space above. I understand that. And I sent a picture in an email to all of you about this. So I want to be clear, a 20-foot limit still allows exactly that. 20 feet is enough for a garage on the bottom with a standard 8-foot garage door and a unit on top. What it prevents is a 30 or 35-foot structure looming over the fence line, taller than the home it sits behind, looking down into 3 neighbors' yards. There is no reason these need to be 30 feet tall. 20 feet is plenty. If a two-story unit is going to exist, let it be an internal one inside the primary home, not a tower in the backyard. So hold 11,000 square feet, cap detached units at 1 story and 20 feet. We've provided you with this recommended wording. These two numbers protect more Kaysville families than almost anything else in this document. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Curtis Cragen. Mayor and City Council members, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I want to focus specifically on one issue in the proposed DADU ordinance, height and limiting detached accessory dwelling units to 1 story. A 2-story rental dwelling located in a backyard can have a very different impact on neighboring properties than a single-story structure. Second-story windows can look directly into neighborhood backyards, patios, and homes. Once that privacy is lost, landscaping and fences can only do so much to restore it. I know this from personal experience, and I would invite you to come to my backyard and experience it for yourself. Other Utah cities have recognized this concern and have adopted clear 1-story standards. Murray City Ordinance states the maximum height for detached ADUs is limited to 1 story and to 20 feet, or the height of the principal structure, whichever is less. Escalante City uses very similar language. The maximum height for external ADUs is limited to 1 story above ground and to 20 feet, or the height of the principal structure, whichever is less. And Milford City Ordinance is even simpler. Its development standards list the maximum height for a detached ADU as 1 story. We're asking Kaysville to follow these good examples. In the recommendations emailed to you today by Gary Uresk, our neighborhood group proposed the following. A detached accessory dwelling unit shall be limited to 1 story above finished grade and shall not exceed 20 feet in height, or the height of the primary dwelling, whichever is less. A second-story habitable attic, loft, or other upper-level habitable space is prohibited. This recommendation did not come together casually. As a group of Kaysville residents, we have collectively spent many hours reviewing ordinances from communities throughout Utah, discussing concerns and looking for best practices to protect both property owners and their neighbors. We respectfully ask you to consider the recommendations we submitted today and make the 1-story limitation part of Kaysville's ordinance. Future backyard neighbors of DADUs will be thankful that you took this opportunity to protect their privacy before problems occur. Please follow the good example already established by other Utah cities and adopt this protection for our great city of Kaysville. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Laurie Cragen, and I am a Kaysville resident. A year ago, my back neighbor erected a very large steel building on his property with the intent of having a garage on the bottom and an accessory dwelling for family on the top. It appears as if I am living next to a large commercial building. As I come and go about my daily business, I pass by the old emission building and wonder when and if the building behind me will look in time like that building. The building behind me is 2,400 square feet and is 30 feet tall. It is 10 feet from my back fence. My yard that once had privacy, which I loved and enjoyed being out with kids and grandkids in our hot tub, now is towered over with 4 large clear windows looking out. Kaysville City is now tasked with drafting an ordinance amending Section 17-31-3 of our city code to allow detached accessory dwellings. When the structure behind me was going up, I called and asked for someone in the building department to come and double check what was being built and if it was within code. Surely the tall beams were much too tall for something in a residential neighborhood. They did come out and assured us that yes, it was being built to code. The code allows at present 30 feet structures. There was nothing they could do to stop the progress. We went in and talked with Melinda and Ann, and they assured us all was as permitted, and the only thing we could do was to try and change the code. We decided at that time we would do everything we could to bring about change so no one else would have to deal with this kind of structure in their neighborhood. Well, the time is now, and we, the residents of Kaysville, need your commitment to pass an ordinance that will help us retain the feel of our neighborhoods that we enjoy here. Many will talk of different items to include in the new ordinance. I want those things as well, such as 20 foot in height, max, windows if facing a rear or side property to have fixed or obscured frosted glass or to have clear story windows, square foot max footprint of 1,200 feet or less, and no second story living space. I can't change what is behind me, but I can try to help bring about a working solution to this mandate given to us by the state. We need to be as restrictive as possible because given an inch, a mile will be taken. Please, as an elected official, come and visit my property. It's the least you can do before drafting this ordinance. Some have come already, and I appreciate that. Come see up close and personal what 30 feet high steel building looks like and how this does not fit into a neighborhood. Just text us and let us know when you would like to come. We have to get this right. Thank you for all you do for us as residents and property owners.
Thank you, Larry. Okay, appreciate your comments, everyone. We are now on agenda item 3, which is presentations and awards. We have a presentation of the Supervising Fire Officer Award to Colton Bascom.
Mayor, I don't see
I don't-
the fire department here tonight. They might be on a call right now.
Right,
so
okay,
maybe
so,
we,
so maybe we
punt on
will.
that. Yep.
Okay, that's what I was thinking as well. All right, thank you, Jason. Okay, so we'll move on to our next presentation, which is super exciting. It's a presentation of the Davis Communication Council America 250 Heart of Service Award, being awarded to Pastor Daniel Williams as well as Pastor Nathan Brock and the Redemption Church. And I'll invite Mark McSwain, who's a dear friend and a wonderful community member, to come on up and tell us a little bit about the award.
Well, Mayor and City Council members, thank you for allowing us to be here this evening. This has been a remarkable year for this community and for the county and for the state and for the country as we've celebrated the 250th anniversary of the United States of America. As a part of that wonderful celebration, the Just Serve community and committee, along with the America 250 committee, got together and decided that this should be also a year of tremendous community and city and personal serving and providing opportunities for people to enjoy each other and to provide service. As a part of that, they developed the America 250 Heart of Service Award. The Heart of Service medallion symbolizes partnerships and purpose. It reflects collaboration between the Just Serve and the America 250 committee. It is to celebrate the nation's 250th anniversary by renewing the American legacy of volunteerism and the 2026 largest year of service in our history. We're here tonight because we nominated as a committee the Redemption Church of Kaysville, Utah, Pastors Daniel Williams and Nathan Brock. Pastor Williams is here with his sweetheart tonight and their young family. They have, Mayor and council members, provided service you have a list of that I know you're going to be going over with them. But this prestigious award they were nominated because of their service for not just a short period of time, but for the entire year. They are a young member of the community, but they have had a great impact in a lot of things that the city and the county have been a part of, including park renovations and other ideas. Open food operations on Sunday mornings that allow people to come, and a number of other things, Mayor, that I think you're going to talk with them about. We're here tonight to present and bring this award that was granted the Redemption Church and Pastor Daniel Williams to the Kaysville community. We want to express our gratitude to you. I know you're busy and you have a lot on your agenda tonight, but Mayor Tammy Tran is a wonderful example of service, as are all of you, and welcoming people from every nation This community of worshiping includes people from Hill Air Force Base and a number of states that have come in. The congregation is from young to old, but they have been a remarkable example to all of us for their service. So Mayor, at this time, we'd like to recommend that they be awarded the America 250 Heart of Service Award.
Okay, thank you so much, Marge, for presenting that. We are super excited to have the Williams family here with us. Do you need a drink?
That was my fault. I gave her a crush.
You can. Are you? We can give you a minute if you need. If you'll come up to the podium, that would be great, and I will read this since I don't have it yet memorized. Okay, so Pastor Williams, it is my privilege to present you with the America 250 Heart of Service Award. This award is part of a partnership between Just Serve and America 250 as our nation celebrates its 250th anniversary and launches what is being called the largest year of service. The Heart of Service Award recognizes extraordinary volunteers and leaders who strengthen their communities, bring people together, and inspire others to serve. It reflects the America 250 vision of renewing our nation's tradition of volunteerism and making it the largest year, like Mark said, of service in the history of the country. Pastor Williams, you and the members of the Redemption Church, North Davis, exemplify that spirit. Through your leadership, your congregation has provided meals and community gatherings, supported our parks, honored teachers and first responders, served members of the military, and partnered with the Bountiful Food Pantry to provide food and essential supplies to families and students throughout Davis County. And I believe, Mark, you'd mentioned 1.2 million meals through the Bountiful Food Pantry.
The Bountiful Food Pantry actually did the equivalent, Mayor, of 2.5 million meals this past year.
Oh.
And are supporting right now almost 1,500 homeless high school and junior high school students. I think it's something that all of us are surprised about when we hear of these things. But one of the most essential things that these wonderful people have done have been working hard to provide pantry packs to make sure that none of these kids go home on weekends with no food.
It's fantastic.
It's
Thank
amazing.
you. Thank
So-
you. The congregation, like you just mentioned, has assembled more than 6,000 pantry packs for local junior high and high school students who otherwise would go home hungry on the weekends. What makes this recognition particularly meaningful is not simply the amount of service you've provided, but your ability to bring others together in service and create a culture of generosity and community involvement. On behalf of Just Serve and America 250, it is my honor to present you with the Heart of Service Award. Thank you, Pastor Williams. Thank you as well. I know that families are much a part of everything that you do. We appreciate your leadership, your service, and your example to your congregation. So congratulations, and this is what we have to present you with. I will mention that the Redemption Church also received an award, and we will present that in a couple Sundays, and we'll come to your congregation. Okay, so, yes, we would love to come down and shake hands with you, take a picture. Thank you so much. And this is your
It's a special medallion that is part of this. Thank you. The one thing that I should mention is that there's less than 1,000 of these awards being presented this year.
Oh, we didn't know that.
And to have this congregation and this community receive this award is a wonderful honor. So we're excited to be here with you, and Pastor Williams, we love you guys. You're amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council maybe in back. I have this.
Yeah, go ahead. You guys move up.
Can maybe in front, please. Definitely a very auspicious group. What do you think? Thank you for taking time to award this to these wonderful people. And Mayor, thank you particularly.
They are an absolutely wonderful congregation, and we love having them here in Kaysville. A couple of years ago, when they first moved to Kaysville, they had a smaller congregation with a lot of young people, and now they've just grown, and they've got so many diverse ages and wonderful families. So thank you. And your congregation is from, where did you say, Bountiful to? All of Davis County. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you. All right. Okay. Conflicts of interest. Before we get moving here, council, anyone have any conflicts that they want to discuss or declare? Okay. Sounds good. All right. So we're now on the item number 5, which is our consent agenda. Would someone like to make a motion regarding this?
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve A through F and then H and I. Maybe remove G just so we can acknowledge the appointment of Mr. McGrath.
Okay.
Is that a motion that you would sound would be good?
That sounds great.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Councilmember Adams?
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right, Jason?
I just wanted to, first of all, just say how thrilled we are to have Brad McElrath joining our team in Kaysville. As some of you know, we had an extensive interview process. We had candidates from across the state, and I think even some candidates from outside the state, but interviewed many candidates from really the north end of the state to the south, or to the south end, and had 3 different panels interviews. Some of them were staff, some were a couple council members, planning commissioners, and we were really fortunate to get some outstanding candidates. Our final 4 were just all excellent. But the nice thing was we were really looking for the right fit, and as well as just those qualifications and the skill set. And Brad brings all of it. We just love him, and he's going to be a great fit. We got outstanding references and even some calls that we didn't even solicit from people that have worked with him, people that I know have known and worked with over the years, different mayors that have worked with him. So we're just thrilled. One thing I'll say too, just we've heard a couple of questions about like why would we hire a director from another city, Clearfield or Layton. That's obviously Kaysville's not Clearfield or Layton. But I think it's maybe worth pointing out. Just sometimes we forget professional staff and elected officials are very different in their roles. The policy obviously is set by the elected officials and the residents. Professional staff come in and they bring their skill sets and their training to listen to council, receive that policy direction, then implement it. So obviously we are not Clearfield, we're not Layton, and we're very different. And what we found in Brad was just that skill set, that right fit. Brad's a native of Davis County, grew up in Layton, and here to stay. We're excited about that. Grew up really around Kaysville, coming to Kaysville for things, and so he gets the culture, gets the values of Kaysville, and we're just thrilled to have him coming in and bringing his talents to us, and just a great guy too. We've enjoyed already getting to know him a little bit, and can't wait for him to start. So he'll start on August 31st, and that's pretty much it.
That'll be great. Thank you, Brad. Do you want to just stand up and wave so that people see who you are? Thank you. And you'll see him. He will be at our council meetings and planning commission, and we're excited to have him. So thank you. Thank you, Jason. All right. Would
Okay,
someone
Mayor,
like...
I'll make a motion that we approve the appointment of Brad McGrath as County Community Development Director.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Councilmember Hunt?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're excited. Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Adams, for doing that. Okay, we are on item number 6. 6A, consideration of a rezone request for the property located at 820 Mare Circle from A5 heavy agricultural to R16 single-family residential for Susie Hansen. And let me see.
Mayor, I'll be presenting this if you...
Okay, perfect. So Nick will present, and then we do have one person signed up to speak, Jed Stinger, who you'll follow Nick's presentation, okay?
Mayor, members of the City Council, I appreciate your patience tonight as I try to perform city attorney and city planner duties tonight. Mr. Christensen and I will do our best. This is a rezone of, proposed rezone of 9.14 acres down by the West Davis corridor. It's located at 820 Mayor Circle. It's often known as the Equestrian Center property. This was seen by the Planning Commission recently. It's a rezone request to go from A5 to R16. The Planning Commission voted unanimously gave the unanimous recommendation that the council deny it. And I'm happy to answer any questions that the council has.
Okay, thank you. Jed, would you like to come up?
My name's Jed Stanger. I am a member of the Sunset Equestrian Estates Homeowners Association. I live there in the neighborhood close. I've served on the HOA board for a number of years, not currently, but I did in the past. There are some issues with this property that I think need to be addressed before anything were to be passed and any changes be made. There is an existing development agreement on this with the subdivision that it pertains to, the Sunset Equestrian Estates. I don't think that's something we just want to throw out and throw an existing development agreement away and redo it, because that could open up a whole lot of cans of worms there that could affect other places. There are recorded CC&Rs with some restrictions and stuff pertaining to this property. And I know that you're not a governing board on that, but there are some things there. There are restrictions on a plat for the land use of that property. So those are all legal issues that I think need to be dealt with before it even gets to a point where we're looking at a rezone. In addition, it does not match the surrounding zoning and the plans there for, the general plan and what has been put in place for many years, kind of looking forward to where we are now. And so, as mentioned, the Planning Commission has recommended you deny the request, and I just also ask that you do the same. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Council, discussion? Do we have any questions for our applicant? No? No questions? Okay, would you like to come up? You definitely can, sure.
Okay, well, I am Susie Hansen, so thank you for being here and thank you for letting me have a second to talk. For 15 years, I co-owned and operated Sunset Equestrian Center. I was dedicated to building a love of horses and a strong sense of community. Since opening the doors in 2012, I have worked 5 to 6 days a week for 10 to 12 hours a day, maintaining the facility, managing the barn, and running every aspect of the business. My focus was to build the center into a family-friendly gathering place. I coordinated training for boarders and provided a safe and engaging lesson program. Beyond daily operations, I made it a priority to educate the community and provide equestrian opportunities that many of them would not have had otherwise. I did this work despite the business never turning a positive revenue or taking a salary for myself. Starting in 2013, I extended the same mission to the Davis County 4-H program by leasing my lesson horses to my lesson students, giving them access to an experience that they couldn't have had on their own. I served as president-elect for 1 year, and I served for the following 3 years for the 4-H program. With the help of an amazing assistant, I helped grow my club, the Pony Express Club, from 5 members to 20 riders. This work meant countless hours and devoted time to practices and shows. I personally transported girls and horses to shows, to region competitions, and to state competitions, with each show requiring at least a 12-hour commitment. It was some of the most rewarding work that I truly have ever done, teaching and encouraging girls and building relationships that will last for a lifetime. My goal was simple: create an equestrian center that would inspire a lasting love for horses. That mission shaped everything from the playground that was at the front of our barn, community Easter egg hunts, many class field trips, horses leased for 4-H students, and many, many years leading the Pony Express Club. Because the equestrian center community and the life I built, it meant so much to me. When people asked me where I lived, I would honestly say I sleep in Bountiful, but I live in Kaysville. On May 7th of this year, I came here to the city offices to apply for a rezoning. This was my very first step into the real estate world. From that day forward, it has been fast and furious for me, and with Zach's help, I am trying to learn very quickly. Previous to May 7th, I had no control over the future of my property. This is a new experience for me, along with a new experience and process moving forward. I greatly appreciate your patience and your time. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm so bad at this. Cool. This is showing your guys' screen so you can see it. I don't know. It's kind of hard. Okay. My name is Zach Hartman. I'm with the Land Advisors Organization. We're the country's largest land advisory firm. And, you know, my family came to Utah on handcarts, and I've been here forever doing work. I started at BDO Ogden, and in Davis County, if you look around at Parish Corners and stuff around Station Park, you know, we've helped many landowners move forward with their properties. It's kind of, we have a little different program where we're not developing on our own account. We basically take the landowner's interests and we help push it forward. And if you go through our total tally in Davis County, we probably preserve more land in total acreage than we've developed. Put together the Fremont Island State Park. And so we're really, I'm probably overly committed to how the state feels. And Kaysville is a place where my grandma took me. I grew up outside Clearfield with her. And so it's a place we know and kind of understand the culture of Kaysville. So my call to this was a little more interesting. So I got a call from one of my landowners, Crossy Ranch, that runs like an agribusiness. I don't know if you guys have been out there in North Salt Lake. And they said, hey, something bad has happened to Susie. Can you help her? And so I get a phone call. I'm like, well, what's going on? And she says, well, I think they're taking 2 acres of my land. It's going to ruin my equestrian center. I already don't make money anyway. Like, I can't take this. So I kind of come in pretty hot into the city, like between meetings, like, what is this? What's going on, right? And Melinda meets with me, and she breaks out probably the gnarliest set of documents I've ever said. And like, I represented the Koch brothers in the bond dispute of the Jordanelle. Like, and I created the inland port. Like, I'm used to dispute and tension and things going wrong. And I went through it, and you know, in 26 seconds, you're like, okay, development agreement, failure to sever HOA, and you're like, there's a mistake on the landowner's part, there's a mistake on the HOA's part, there's a mistake on the city's part, there's a mistake on the developer's part. You go through each memo in like 26 seconds, and you're like, this is a mess. And the story was that something was happening that evening, and I was like, Susie, just put in a rezone application, right? Just so there's something on the docket that's under current law, so if the law gets changed tonight, at least you're vested, right? Because it felt as if shenanigans were afoot, right? And we didn't really have time to kind of prepare and get forward. So it's like, all right, get that going. Then Susie tells me her whole story, and I probably get too emotional into this. And I'm like, I really dislike stuff that doesn't go well for people just in general. And I kind of feel like when you've done something like Susie has for 15 years and you put heart and soul into something, you know, to have some kind of final exit where you get paid for your efforts, if you didn't get paid a salary, if you didn't get paid this, that some attention to not, you know, financially ruin someone is probably a reasonable request. If she would have taken the money she took out of her pension fund to purchase this and just put it in an ETF, she'd be making more than any number we would sell this for, no matter how nice you guys were to us tonight. I think it's pretty interesting when you go through, you guys hired Brent Bateman, who was the state ombudsman. He's great. And I think when I called him, I said, give me just kind of the bits and pieces of this. He's like, look, that is a lot that is controlled by the HOA as HOA has some oversight on it, and you're going to have to deal with that. And I was like, that's probably the cleanest way to put it. And then if you jump to the next one and you go through the summary that's in the memo that Melinda gave me, then it's like, well, actually that's severed in a certain period of time, and that is probably a legal fight that takes place some other time in place, right? That doesn't need to happen in this meeting. Then we go through and we talk about the open space and the code. I'm like, okay, there's plenty of open space. Without this, it complies with the development agreement, it complies with the code, everything's okay, I get this. So when we made the application on the fly, the thought process was, okay, we're currently zoned A5, and we're in an area where the general plan says that these need to be single-family, detached homes, was kind of my read, right? So we made application for that. Now, knowing in the back of my head, we came here thinking we were losing 2 acres to condemnation that felt like it was going to be geared towards condemning and agricultural pricing. I was like, well, let's make application a lower thing so we can have some conversation about, you know, basically a Nolan and Dolan nexus of fair, you know, for a fair test, right? So we met June 1st with the mayor and John, and I probably misbehaved in the meeting. I was kind of mad when we started, and I probably should have done a better job, but we were still getting into this and going through the project, and I think we said, look, if the HOA wants to buy the property, because the HOA wants to control and make sure this stays an equestrian center forever, they've never paid into the HOA dues, they've never paid into the management, they've never covered anything. There's no commitment from the HOA to the actual center, right? It's just been Susie on her own. And so if they want to have that oversight, great, they can purchase it. And we kind of had this discussion. And I remember having, you know, when Susie told me, I can't do this anymore, I said, well, just don't. Like, don't, just close the center. If you can't handle it anymore, just be done, right? If you don't want to put up with it, if it's too stressful, if it costs you money every month you don't have, and you want to spend time with your grandkids, just stop it. And it was a really intense wave of negative energy that came back just for someone that had given so much. It was kind of hard to watch. And so I just want to apologize because in that meeting I didn't act correctly. I was pretty fired up because I hated the phrase, you paid so little for it, you can't make more, right? It's not a phrase I love. And then I didn't like the phrase that you have to keep it going or we're going to hurt you on the condemnation. And it was said in different words, but that's the way I heard it. So I want to go through this. You guys have a code of conduct, section 8, exhibit A, where you're not supposed to, I think council members are advised not to kind of pre-game commissions. So here's John pre-gaming our planning commission, kind of talking to everybody. And we got a positive recommendation from the staff, right? And this is something that, you know, they said go forward, and then, you know, we basically got pre-prepped before the meeting, and so it looked like we had a quorum and a good conversation, but I believe that's part of your code of conduct. It's not to do that. Then this was a new experience. I've never had this happen. So Susie calls me, and she's like, hey, someone wants to buy the center, and they said if they buy it from her for X, and the city will pay her Y, she can keep some of it, right? Weird conversation, not really applicable, but you kind of see how we're on edge, right? Mm-hmm. This isn't awesome. And then June 15th, right, we got this, love to have a win-win. You know what? This is where Susie told me to calm down. And she's like, look, I actually believe John wants to have a win-win and that I'm overreaching on this and coming in late. And so I was like, okay, let's take that approach and kind of start over in a better way. So staff recommended approval for the Planning Commission. That's the response that John gave that I thought was, you know, like I said, pressuring on the commission I didn't love. Public response, you know, basically strong opposition to preserving the equestrian and open space. Who wouldn't? It's beautiful. It's a wonderful place. Susie's created a great place for everybody to go, and it's just like, it's like one of the best pieces. But so far, Susie's the only one that's paid for it. She's the only one that's done the work. She's the only one that's maintained it. And so I think if the public wants that to be preserved, there probably should be some public, if it wants to be a public benefit, then there probably needs to be a purchase or a discussion or a trade or something of that sort. All right. The city legal counsel said the property is not legally required to remain an equestrian center. True. though the private CCR issue could still exist. Definitely does. Even so, the commissioners were uncomfortable approving without the conceptual site plan. Once again, we were making application on the fly, thinking things were dubious, right? And so we did not have a site plan. We have site plans today to review, to go through. There are all kinds of different things. So the most exciting meeting we had was that we actually sat down and talked about the right-of-way, and with Horrocks and with community development. So we learned it's not 2 acres. It's a little less than an acre. It does cause operational issues, but it's not so scary, okay? So this was happy. We didn't know a purchase price. We haven't been engaged directly. We thought that was interesting, but this is like how I'm used to seeing things come our way from a discussion. So we sat down early and we said, look, when I read through the memo, I was like, the big issue isn't between the city and Susie. The big issue is between the HOA and Susie, right? I was like, that's where there needs to be a third party here. And that can either happen a couple different ways. So we reached out to go have a meeting with the HOA. And originally I wanted to see if the budgets and financials had they ever contributed, had they ever helped, when did they sever, what were the real rules, what was the goal, like did they care? And it felt like the developer was like, I want optionality, and I don't want to be liable for an equestrian center or responsible for it. And I feel like that transferred over to the HOA's behavior of saying, no, we don't want to own it, because if you were in Promontory, another horse place, the HOA owns it, they control it, they staff it, they pay the dollars, they get all the benefit, they get all the control. And so we just wanted to have a meeting and we wanted to understand it because it is super simple for an HOA to bond against this and purchase it. It's like nothing in total payout, it's like a zero-sum game. And so if they really wanted it, it's a super simple process. It's like a nothing burger. And so then we thought, let's go and let's meet. We tried to meet multiple times and nobody would meet. And so then we came to this meeting, we haven't met yet. But the intent on reaching out was we need to meet with the HOA and come up to it with an agreement. But, all right, are you guys familiar with the Nolan and Dolan Nexus? Have you guys gone through this? Done training?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Okay, great. Basically, it's like you can't make me take care of the world, on my dime, and we want it to be fair. So, if you take the combined nexus test, this is just kind of for high-level thoughts. To mandate perpetual equestrian center, it really fails all of the prong 1 and prong 2 as unconstitutional, right? Require open space dedication of the parcel, same thing. Fails on both prongs as unconstitutional. This one's kind of interesting. Demand in lieu open space recreation, scrutinize, and that's like something that could be negotiated. Like, is there something that could be done, right? I thought that was kind of interesting. Standard and individual traffic park impact fees tied to the residential units. So if we redeveloped it, is there something that can be paid for and taken care of this? So this is where I'm going into the win-win vibe. I'm starting to try to kind of turn the ship out of my like seeing ghosts moment, okay? And all right, public trail access unconstitutional, okay. So here's the property, very exciting. So R16 looks like this, right? If you count the borders and the trucks that come through, this is probably an increase of traffic, right? It probably increases traffic by about 20 trips per day. And if I were in the circle and I was a resident and a part of the HOA, I'd be like, that's not super cool. I don't really love it. We thought this would be appealing because our pitch was this, because we didn't know what was going on with the roadway. We were like, give us R16 and we'll donate the roadway, right? Fair exaction, fair test. We thought it was good. Cool with that, Susie? Great, cool. Next. The other thought, we said, you know what? Maybe this needs to just be an antisocial end of things, right? So what if we just did big old freaking lots, R114, less traffic than current traffic, and here we go. Great, done. Easy. You good with this, Susie? We're good with this, okay? Great. This, I thought, was the most fun. There's nothing in your code to allow this, but I thought it was awesome, okay? And just this would be high level. And so let me go through this one. Look at this great wall of houses that are big and lots and no more traffic going that way, okay? Look at the equestrian center staying where it is, the indoor barn and the indoor riding arena that is important to people. Then see the pink area. We would build townhomes and sell them at a reduced price to family members of the HOA as an incentive, right? and other people within the Kaysville community so that everybody felt like they got something out of this. We thought it passed the test, right? Details to be determined. So this is what we wanted to do tonight. We wanted to come to you and say, look, we have to have, this is not a three-way discussion. There is an approval here between Susie and you, and there is a discussion to be had with the HOA. What we would hope for, and kind of this is like a little bit of a pivot, is we'd hope that you table it, and you say you got 30 days, and the HOA has 30 days, because they've been the ones non-responsive, to sit down, and I don't want to talk to the board members. I would like a vote to go out to all the HOA members, and they could pick one of the three. Great. Say they hate all of it, and they just want us to not do anything, like they just want it to go forward. We go back to this. I talked to 4 different people. They can fund it in 30 days. We're done. We're finished. Now, do you understand what I mean by the DOT on this? I represented Zions Bank in this great transaction called Suncrest, where Draper City said, no, you can't do development. We're not going to let Susie go forward. By the way, we're going to buy it from you at open space. We want the public benefit. 6 months later, they rezone the property, sell it for a fortune, stick it to Zions. Okay? Not happening to Susie, so we're going to put a deed of trust on it, so if the use changes in 20 years, you write us a $10 million check, because that's what it's worth if we got full zoning, right? We were trying to maneuver in a way that we could take it to a win-win, that we could address the things we've seen that we don't love, and that we could try to find a way to make this work. But I genuinely think the way that this goes is we have to go to the HOA, and they need to vote, and then something may happen, right? They may say, don't like any of your ideas, just stick it, right? And they may do that, and that's the best answer, because then there's only one outcome, right? So we just go forward with that. But I think that's not part of the city's plan. I think the city's plan, do any of the plans have any of appeal to you? And does our attempt to try to settle this on all matters mean anything, right? And that's what we got.
Thank you. Thank you. That's interesting.
Sure.
Okay. So what's before us is consideration of a rezone. You would like us to table it for 30 days for further discussion, gives you time to talk to the HOA, gives us time to consider a new proposal that you'll bring forth. That is not an agreement to any of those plans on our end, right? Just so I understand what you're asking.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
so that I understand what you're asking. It is to reconsider a new proposal from you in 30 days. Is that,
We just want it tabled,
okay,
because we want to stay vested.
okay.
And then we'd like to be able to go talk to the HOA and come back.
Question. I have a question for you. Why don't you just withdraw it?
Because you guys passed a resolution after we applied that would affect us if we have a fight later.
Yeah, okay.
I
And-
don't,
Which
under-
matches the shenanigans.
I don't really understand.
Well, for anyone listening, so the resolution was that we wanted to require this to be an equestrian use because that is what it is now, that's what it was planned to be, et cetera, et cetera.
Got it.
But with an equestrian center on the property, I don't think that the resolution issue would be an issue, right? If that was the option that you brought forth,
Yep.
right?
I guess I'm not clear as if you want us to table it, why don't you just withdraw it and then bring it back when you're ready?
Because I'm no longer vested. I'd rather get denied than not get tabled. Or approved would be great.
Okay.
Help me,
Okay.
Nick.
Nick, tell us legally, give us some direction.
Yeah, so I'm not quite sure I understand what Mr. Hartman means by vesting, because they haven't vested in anything, because it's a legislative decision to rezone it from A5 to R116. So the thing that they're vested in right now is A5 uses.
Right. Okay. Does that make sense to you?
Yep.
Do you see that the same way Nick's explaining it?
I understand what he said.
Okay, but you disagree? Okay, okay.
It's okay.
All right, okay, sounds good. All right, so, discussion.
Well, I'll discuss the fact that I still believe it has to be an equestrian center just because of the plat and the way it was recorded and how it was built, because there was a development agreement that said that there would be an equestrian center, and because all the lots were allowed to be reduced on that plat for this to be there, It's in an A5 zone, that part, but then our other is an RA zone, which would be 21,780 square foot lots, which they did not put in because they took that property from those lots to make the equestrian center, which allowed them to have the smaller lots to do the equestrian center. That was all part of the development agreement, which was part of that agreed upon plat. So to me, whether he says the development agreement does work or doesn't work or is not necessary, it is. In my opinion, it is. That's why those lots are smaller than they're supposed to be. And he says, well, it would be like the city saying, we're going to sell Pioneer Park for lots to pay for our fire station, even though we allowed all the lots around there to be smaller so that they could give the property so that they could build Pioneer Park. And so we're just going to sell it now and as residential property so we can build a fire station.
Who manages Pioneer Park?
The city does.
Who maintains it?
The city does.
Okay. There's
But
a
it's not
difference.
private. It wasn't private. It wasn't sold as private. That property was given to the city for a reduction in lot in a development agreement that was done after yours. Your development agreement made it so they could have smaller lots. In order to sell those lots, those people were told that their lots were smaller so that they could have an equestrian center. And they were given credit for that so the plat could be recorded. That's what they were told, and that's why they bought their properties.
I think that is a great way to describe it from a high level. If you read through the agreement, you'll see the amendments and edits that change the way that the bracketing and the subdivision tracks are done, and it's not that tight.
Mayor, in the minutes from April 3rd, 2007, when they were discussing this, Ryan Bybee, who represented at the time, I believe, Woodside Homes, stated that everything has been sold in phases 6 and 7 was with the explanation that the equestrian center would be owned and maintained by a professional company. Councilmember Johnson asked if the owners would be allowed to alter the building. He is concerned that the use may change. The building would not be used as an equestrian center. Ryan Bybee stated that would be prohibited. The plat will still have an overriding open space easement for the project on it, and the agreement would state that this is the only use that the building could be used for. Forever in the future, this will remain an equestrian center. That was what was stated to the council by the folks that were building it at the time. This was prior to the professional company, Jeff Hansen, purchasing the product. And at the time, he purchased just under 20 acres. Now, the explanation that now it's 9.7 is because 10 of those acres were sold at a profit.
Bad word.
What's that? Bad word? Sold?
Profit. Bad word. I get it.
No. Okay. I love this. So I let you talk.
Fair enough.
Sold for a profit, which is apparently a bad word. I'm not saying it's a bad word, but I'm saying that they sold that piece of property that's limited maybe the ability to function the business. Their decision, not ours. And so I can't see the excuse of saying, I mean, you know, Ms. Hansen has stated that they've never turned a profit starting from 2008 to 2026, 18 years of loss. All of that aside, I mean, if that's the case, that's horrible. But we've received emails that people have offered $2.5 million for.
We'd love to see the written offer. We received none.
And again, none of that to me, I bring that up, but none of it matters to me because of exactly what Mike just said. This was in a development agreement. Unless we amend the development agreement, and I've said this time and time again, until we amend that development agreement, which to me would be a big deal, because we would be saying to all of the people who have purchased in that area, we're going to change what you purchased this area, assuming that this would stay. I do not wish, nor will I force anybody to run an equestrian center. I won't. I'm just not going to change. I'm not going to change the zoning until that development agreement is amended. And to me, to amend that development agreement is going to require a whole heck of a lot of people in that neighborhood to come in and say, yeah, we're good with you amending it, just like any rezone would be. I mean, this to me, this is ridiculous. We don't have anything that supports this, and I don't understand. I don't understand why we're, I'll be quiet.
Okay, appreciate your comments. Anyone else? Okay, so here's a question. As far as the development agreement goes and the potential for amending or not amending, would anyone be open to amending it theoretically, hypothetically, with an equestrian center still included in a plan, like looking at their third plan? Not that I'm saying I think townhomes are a great idea there. But is there any room for negotiation or compromise just as a straw poll, not an official vote?
I don't know. I mean, for me right now, the biggest thing is there's 10 acres. I mean, there's this subject of the fact that the development agreement encompasses almost 20 acres. Currently, 10 of it's owned by Symphony. I think we would be doing a tremendous favor to the Hansons or whatever to amend the development agreement to allow for those 10 acres to be developed, quite frankly. Because right now, the whole 20 falls up within the development agreement. I would be open to something like that where we would amend it to annex the 10 acres to be developed as long as the equestrian center remained, within the 9.5 that's remaining. And I think that would be a huge, huge to do that. And I would still want to hear from the neighbors. I'd still want that to be something that took time. And I don't know that it would still receive yay votes, but that's a big deal to me.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
The only thing I can say is I'm not interested in amending the development agreement unless I got 90% of the people who live over there signature and what they'll agree to, because as Susie says, that's her life or whatever, but that's their life. They bought into this. That's the biggest purchase most of those people ever make in their entire life. They raised their kids. They did it on that assumption that this is where I'm going to be. This is why I bought into here. They didn't buy somewhere else. They bought there because of what they were told. So if you want to change the development agreement, in my opinion, you better have about 90% of buy-in from the people who are in that recorded plat, and then I will represent them.
And so you're speaking of the HOA members, or even though there's not technically a paid HOA over there, I guess.
I mean,
but
there's still
there's still
part of
people that
it.
are there.
There's still protected covenants,
Yeah.
and there's an HOA because they,
Right,
yeah.
right, I understand. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, Councilmember McBride.
Just so maybe I'm missing something here, but who then maintains the equestrian center if Susie cannot? If she doesn't have the money to do it,
It's just like any lot. Just be like any lot. Be like your house or something.
so if she doesn't have the money to do it, she needs to continue to maintain it?
What do you mean by
Or does the HOA
maintain?
need to maintain? I'm curious as to how that works.
It's just it's just like any
It's just a
private
private
business.
lot?
It'd be like, right down the street we have, what is the building that used to be the,
Bacon craft type?
yeah, I mean, yeah,
Okay.
just be like, you just
So if you don't
vacate the
want to do
building.
it, if you bought it one.
Which I think it is currently right
change
now.
it,
I think
right?
it's vacated.
It is, I think you're right. So, but
Yeah.
if she bought it one way, she can't change it. Therefore, she just has to continue to maintain it or sell it the way she bought it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's my question.
Can I
Okay.
just clarify that?
Yes.
She doesn't have to maintain it as an equestrian
Yeah.
center.
Right.
It just, she has to
Property.
maintain the property.
Yeah,
according to
maintain,
city
that's
codes.
what I
Yeah.
mean. That's what I mean.
Okay.
Yeah, she can't just let it
It's,
overgrown and,
at
Run
that
amok.
point, it's private property.
Mayor?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nick, I have a question for you real quick, just to clarify on what Josh was asking about. So when we say maintain, I mean, it just has to conform to whatever the zone requires. So what is it, A5? She could tear everything down and put on whatever A5 allows, correct?
Yeah, that's my understanding
A
of it,
couple
yes.
single-family homes.
Okay, so then I guess my comments on this is I would potentially be interested in looking at a development agreement adjustment. Really, my dog in this fight is the interest of the residents of Kaysville, and I think as a city council, representing the interests of the residents of Kaysville means that we need to keep our agreements because our residents benefit when we can count on consistent contracts. And so if we want to do anything, I think it does need to be done with an adjustment. And I don't think it's outside of what we've required in the past to ask for the property that wants to be rezoned to talk to the neighbors. I mean, and I don't think neighbors should, it's such a weird line. You know, neighbors shouldn't dictate what you do on your property, but also, as has been said, they do buy into these properties. They spend an exceptional amount of money. And they should at least, and I don't think it's asking too much to ask people to just figure it out and get along. So if we can come up with something like that, I would be willing to talk about it.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask one more question? So and again, I'm new to this, trying to figure this out myself, but I was under the impression that when something is brought to the council, like the R16, we need to either accept it,
Right.
table it, or deny it,
Right,
but not fix the problem,
right.
right? So it's not for us to, and it's not in a situation like this where we sit down and go, okay, let's negotiate.
Right.
It's either you come, bring it, we say yes, or we say no, and move on, right?
You're correct.
The problem with this is the development agreement was with the city in order to reduce the lot sizes that were allowed. So the development agreement was actually with the city to say, okay, you don't have to make those lots 21,780, you can make them an average 14,000, but we're going to take the remnant of what you didn't use, put it down there, and let it be operated as a private equestrian center in the area with trails that go around your properties, around your houses, so that people can ride horses. And if you don't want to own a horse, or if you want to own a horse, you at least live in an area where there will be horses around you. Or if you want one, you can keep it down there at a private place and then ride it around here on the trails that were provided in the subdivision.
But that's not what's before us tonight. What's before us tonight is to
No.
rezone it to R16. And so it's a matter of we either accept that, if they want to come back and say, hey, we're willing to, this is what we're trying to do now, at that point in time, we can table it, right?
But you would be disregarding the development agreement.
But they're asking, I guess is
Yeah.
what I'm saying. They're
Yeah.
asking, tonight, they're not asking to
Right.
go around, they're asking to redo the whole thing.
We thought we would have met with the HOA and had some form of a kind of a buy-in from what they wanted by now. And so that's where, we're unprepared, because we thought that if we came in and said, look, there's two interpretations on, you can go through the chart on the development agreement and say the code hits the numbers. It's not a great compelling public argument. It's a reasonable legal argument. And our thoughts were we'd go meet with the HOA and come up with a plan that they could support in high numbers, right? Like that was kind of the fix. Because that is the one part of this, the CC&R parts of this are scarier than the development agreement part, right? For a challenge to move forward for us, at least in my mind.
Well,
Right.
I guess what I'm saying is, Matt is here tonight, and I can't tell you how many times Matt's been up here saying, I want X, and we go, no, you're not getting X, right? So come back with Y.
To your point, I think we can just vote on what's before us rather than
Right, and it's-
negotiate. And I
It's up to
think,
them to come back.
yep.
Yes.
And I'll make a motion.
Okay, well, before you do,
Okay.
I just wanted to wrap this up with, I think that the reason that we are having a broader discussion, aside from what's in front of us, is because several years ago, Jeff came before us, he wanted to rezone it, we said, no, it has to stay this. Well, I think that we realized, okay, maybe a smaller version of this or a different version of this would be appropriate, could be appropriate, but I do hope that the message to you is that at some point, we want some sort of an equestrian center still to be on the facility, to be in this area. And I think unless that's part of the next iteration, we don't want you to waste your time and energy, but we want you to know where we're coming from. So hopefully that's clear. Okay, okay. All right, so is that fair? Okay, so what we have before us is we have an opportunity to deny, approve, or table. You're asking for a table so that you can continue the clock and it's ticking and you're in your mind vested in the current project, right? And you'll bring something different back.
Yeah, I think.
Will you come up to the mic? Thanks.
I think you guys want to vote, and then just have a vote, and we'll come back around.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, all right, go ahead and make a motion.
I'll make a motion that
Councilmember
we deny the consideration of the rezone request for the property located on 820 Mayor Circle for A5 heavy agriculture to R16 single-family residential for Susie Hansen.
I second that.
Adams. Okay, Councilmember Jackson.
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you. Thank you, Susie. Thank you, Zach.
Mayor,
Thank you.
is that closed for comments now, or?
No, go ahead.
Okay, I sat with some of these thoughts, and I wanted to clear up some things. I think we got some information that may have muddied the waters a little bit. As far as the Nolan-Dolan test, I feel like that's only for exactions, and correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, but I felt like the city's interest in this was not as an exaction, but as an exercise of eminent domain. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, no, that's, yeah.
Okay, so I'm not sure that applies, and I just felt like that needed to be cleared up. Also, I just also want to emphasize that this is not against Susie. This is not in favor of anyone else. This is in the interest of the city, in the interest of what we hope to build here, and I think that we can come together and make something that can work for everyone. So,
Thank
thanks.
you for your
Thank
comment.
Mayor.
Zach, did you have a rebuttal to that?
And-
Go ahead.
Small amount, just, I'd ask legal if you can take the brief you got from Brent Bateman and the other brief you received and run the Nolan and Dolan test through both prongs and see, I think it's a worthwhile conversation. Because I think that's where this is more checkered, right? Because it should have been, you can kind of see best practices broken on just about every side, right, in this drawing, in the way that we're here talking about this tonight. And so I think that's a worthwhile exercise if you want to go through it, so.
Okay, thank you.
That's what we shared, is basically ran that test, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, Councilmember Adams, did you have something?
Oh, no, I mean, I think I have tried. I mean, you could look up right now, if you want, I can share the emails where I am working to amend that development agreement, because I do think that it's not in the best interest of us to know that 10 of those 19 acres are right now owned by a developer that was sold by, the Hansons, and that right now that could be our chance to create a win-win. And I think that probably it's the right thing to do. I don't know, it baffles me that transaction was made while the development agreement was still in place, but it was, and that's the situation we're sitting in right now. So I still want a win-win. I do. I want the community, I want the owners of the HOA to be able to all say, yeah, we're good with it. We're good with that. So, Susie, I hope you know that I was sincere when I sent the texts that were now shared, and, that it be a win-win. And the fact that I am talking to people and trying to figure out a way to somehow bond this, to me, is evidence that I actually care, not evidence that I'm trying to be conniving or set the stage. So that's all I'll say.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments. All right. So now we will move on to our 6B, which is consideration of a rezone request for the property located at 1800 South Sunset Drive from RA Residential Agricultural District and A1 Light Agricultural to R114 Single Family for Symphony Homes, Allison and Lee Steinquist and Catherine Lisby. All right.
Mayor, I'm
Go ahead.
presenting this one
Okay.
as well. So this is a rezone of 16.2 acres, and a proposed rezone of 16.2 acres. I'm going to do a little bit better job going through the slides as I present this. This is out there right near the Sunset Equestrian Center. It's just a little bit east. This application has been here previously in a very different form, but it's back with a new plan. And I'll let the applicant, I believe the applicant will speak to that, what's been changed. This was heard by the Planning Commission recently. They voted unanimously. I'll note that it was a 4-0 vote, but they voted unanimously that to recommend that the council approve this rezone. This is a kind of a view of the general area future land use map. I'll go back to this. I think this one's probably the most helpful. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We do have one person signed up to speak. If you signed up, please come up and state your name. Thanks. I know your last name is Hall. So sorry.
My name is Keith Halls.
Yeah, I knew that.
And sorry for the writing.
Thanks, Keith.
I've lived on Sunset Drive for 40-plus years, and my home is directly across the street from this development. And this has been a battle. You all know that. I want to say I just really, really appreciate the City Council. You have put in so much time and effort and thought, and you've really listened to the concerns that we have had as citizens that are directly affected with this rezone. I'm so grateful that R16 isn't even mentioned. Thank you so very much. That is not a zone for this area, and in my opinion, for any of West Kaysville. I've worked with Matt for over a year now, spent hours and hours with him. And Matt, I feel your pain. I think he has really made some great strides in trying to put all this together. And it's not just us who live across the street on Sunset Drive. There's so many other things. We've mentioned the equestrian center and things there. But I take my hat off to Matt and to Symphony for the efforts that they have made in trying to make this thing work. And I feel like the R114 is compatible with what can happen there. And as I've talked to the group, and I'm not representing the group, I'm just representing myself, I'm happy that it's come to this point, and I'm grateful for Symphony and look forward to them being good neighbors in that regard. I do have one major concern, Matt. Hold on to your seat. This isn't with Symphony. My major concern is with the sewer district. I am extremely disappointed with the sewer district and their attitude. In all these meetings that we've had, I have never seen one member of the sewer district here trying to see what we as citizens want and how we're impacted with this. They're not good neighbors. There's a lot of things that they have done good. I live in a grove of trees with thousands of trees, and every time the wind blows, I have a whole herd of trees that in the past I've been able to take to the sewer district, and I've appreciated that. But they own that corner, and I don't know if you can bring up a picture of that corner of Sunset Drive and Angel Street, that little piece that the sewer district owns. I think it's right there, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And I-15 just opened up to where people can come down off I-15 now into West Kaysville. I think that is the gateway to West Kaysville. And when people drive down there and see a great big pile of dirt with nothing but weeds all over it, that's not what Kaysville is. That doesn't represent what's there. You look at the homes across the street from there. If any one of us had our property looking like that, the city would be all over us. It's a big pile of dirt with nothing but weeds. I had an opportunity to speak to the sewer district concerning this piece, And frankly, it just fell on deaf ears. I just wasted my time. I would like to see that piece either purchased or donated. I know that Symphony has a direct interest. That has a large impact on what they're trying to do there. And it has a large impact on all of us who live there. And I would appeal to the City Council. I know you need to have a good relationship with them, but they need to be good neighbors, and they're not right now. And I just want to say thank you for all that you do, and let's make this a really top-notch development and a super place to live. I love living here, and I appreciate all that you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. And we continue to have conversations with the sewer district, so we are working through that. All right, Matt, come on down.
Council, thank you for having me back and for the continued time in our discussion. So I'll be quick and short. So this plan is full of compromise.
Yes.
I've learned a few things about that myself. This has compromise with Symphony, the community, definitely the city, and I'm hopeful we're close. And so tonight, this is an R114, no development agreement, no change in setbacks, no change in building height.
Cool.
And I think this will definitely be a compatible use with our surrounding neighbors. And we're also excited that we were able to add a couple acres to the discussion as well from prior applications too. So, which I think kind of echoes we're on the track, hopefully. So,
yes.
Short of that, I'm here for Q&A, but again, thank you for bearing with me. So,
Matt, thank you. Honestly, this has been such an interesting process. We've all learned quite a bit. We appreciate the collaboration, the patience with residents and Symphony and you. And this is a great plan. And it is a long time coming, and I know it was a lot of hard work, so we appreciate the efforts. We have received a lot of emails, and they've been very positive, and that's not how it started. So we do appreciate that. Anyone have any comments, or are we going to just?
No, I actually have a question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So being as that we still don't own access or have access on 550 West,
Nick, can you speak to that?
what options do we have?
It's my understanding that we are working with the sewer district to acquire that property, and they're amenable to that.
Yes.
Is that right, Jason?
That's right. We're actually in the final stages of design right now on that connection and finishing up the survey work. So once that's complete, we'll come back to the council with an agreement to present to the sewer district. But as Mr. Mills said, they've been amenable to this whole discussion, and we don't anticipate any issues at all.
So if we were to approve this tonight, do we approve it with the condition that that road goes through, or how does that work?
Subject to, I don't think we need to, do we? Because we still would, I mean, it won't be approved if we don't have access.
Yeah, I think that's certainly within the prerogative of the council. I think our discussions with the sewer district have been very optimistic.
Sure.
So, we're just putting final touches on that. So if the council feels that they need that, I think that's within the council's prerogative. I think as staff, we don't feel like we need it. We feel like we're close enough to a deal with the sewer district that we could just approve it as is.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge. Great questions, though.
If I can add to that as well.
Sure.
We do have the access off of Sunset Drive, which would permit 30 units under the existing both plan with the limitations with the sewer district.
Right, so you could get started.
Yeah, incrementally. Let's get it in the rearview mirror, though. And I thank you to staff, and I mean, this has been a journey, so
It has
let's
been.
get that road.
It has been a
Thank you.
journey, and we're just so close now. We're all best friends. Okay, anyone else? All right, would someone like to make a motion?
I will make a motion, and I am so grateful for Symphony Homes. I'm grateful for my good friend Matt. I say good friend because he is really worked really, really hard, and he's worked the right way. He's talked to the neighbors hours, days,
Years of your life, yeah.
lots of his life. And, you know, he came in, when we first met him, he was spunky and young, and now he's old and gray. That's what we do in Kaysville. That's how we handle.
Yeah.
I will make a motion that we approve agenda item B.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second, and council member Blackham, you look like you want to say something anyway,
Oh,
but
did sorry about that.
The only thing I want to say is I am so grateful to see an R114 with no development agreement. Believe me, standard setbacks, standard
Yes.
side yards. Thank you. Appreciate that. Aye.
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 Matt, have a great night. Thank you. Congratulations. And you know, I said it before, and I stand behind it. I am so grateful that Symphony is willing to build beautiful homes within our community because, you know, they're a great builder. So, thank you. Okay, thanks. All right, this has been such an exciting night. Okay, we are now on item C, which is approval of a resolution authorizing the procurement of directional boring services for the power department. Brian, you've been here long and you've been sitting so patiently. Come on up.
You got to recognize he brought his daughter too.
Yeah,
I don't
yes,
know how
and
she
your-
gave up
and
her
your
night.
beautiful
But it's
daughter.
probably her first night of school, and she's
Hopefully
here.
she's been bribed with something wonderful. At least $10. Make your dad pay you $10.
Mayor, council, thanks for having me. Tonight's definitely been a learning experience for my daughter. I don't know if she'll come next time. But it's been a great opportunity to be able to come and talk to you guys about what we have going on in our city and the power department. So directional boring, it's something that we've been doing in our city for the power department for several years. But just within the last year, we started actually digging straight into the neighborhoods to replace really old infrastructure that we have that's been direct buried. So meaning it's not in conduit. So it's the wire is surrounded by dirt, rocks, the elements, and everything else. It's way surpassed its life expectancy. And as we looked into what it was going to take, we tried to sector out the city into sections of priority. And our first priority was the 46 kV system to get it up to par, to be more efficient and more effective, reliable 7,200 volt system. 46 kV it's just a really old, inefficient voltage. It's really, really old. Very few places still have it. And we still have a couple of those in our city. We're just about to wrap up the last little section of that. But it's been a learning curve over the last year. Working with a directional boring contractor, we have learned how specialized this is for a contractor to come in and work around the live utilities, gas lines, energized power lines, and our equipment. And it's something that we want to be able to press forward in the best manner we can, the most efficient manner we can, with in mind the extensive repairs that need to take place in residents, nicely cared for yards and everything else. So we want to propose to make this service a professional service that we can take out we'll still take it out to get bids, price sheets, but that will allow the power department to be able to fine tune and be able to reach out to other power departments, other municipals in the area, and be able to get an idea of who comes in and does efficient, high quality work. And maybe we won't go with the lowest bid, but we will go with the most efficient and effective bid that I feel will also provide us in the end a lower cost. Because right now we are paying a substantial amount of money in repairs to yards and to all these other things, because the contractor we were working with, unfortunately, left some messes. And I'm realizing and recognizing now, as we've been through this process for the first time, going through full neighborhoods and replacing our full infrastructure, how specialized of a service this actually is, and the full depth of the details. And so my request and my hope is that you guys would allow this to be a professional service, that we can reach out and request price sheets and referrals and look into what company is best fit for the projects which we have ahead of us. It will also allow us in situations like we have right now with Laurelwood, who has unfortunately experienced a substantial amount of increase this year in outages due to these exact wires. We have tried so many different things with shedding load, feeding from different directions in different ways, and it just doesn't seem to matter because that wire is so worn out. And so it would allow us to bring in temporarily even more than one contractor if necessary to address more emergency and more situations where it's time sensitive. We feel like 5-6 outages within a 4-week span is not worn out.
Right.
It's no longer worn out infrastructure. It's more of an emergency, we feel like, to
Absolutely.
get those repairs. So
Brian, is this already, we have budget for this already, right?
yes,
Okay,
yep, it is
good.
in our budget to
Okay.
be able to move forward with a directional drilling contractor to do this work. The difference would just be that it be a professional service.
Similar to your tree service,
Right.
isn't it?
Correct, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
Excellent. Okay, any discussion, comments?
A question here.
Yes.
So the Whisper Creek in that area, there's been a lot of power outages. Is that kind of a neighborhood that you're looking at that you could do this? I'm not familiar if that would require underground.
Yeah, so right now, anywhere that we have high volume outages, we are looking into the causes and why, and to make any adjustments or repairs necessary. We're finding that most of those areas right now, if they have underground and high outage area, it is because of it's a direct correlation to the direct buried wire that's 50 years old. And we are, yes, planning on citywide eventually having all new direct infrastructure where there's direct bury. We'll have conduit with wire. So
excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right.
I'll make a
Brian,
motion.
thanks. Okay.
I'll make a motion we approve a resolution authorizing the procurement of directional boring services for the power department.
And I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Thank you, Councilmember McBride.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. We'll get power up Laurelwood for a while. That'll be good. So, aye.
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 Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks. All right. Okay, the next item is accessory structures, temporary land use regulation. I'm sure this is Jason's, or Nick's, or,
I guess you
okay,
can tag team.
okay.
So, just as a quick summary, so Senate Bill 280, oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were on the, oh, never mind.
You're excited.
All right.
This is a request. It's kind of, I guess, originated at the Planning Commission. They've noticed that some of the accessory structures that are being permitted are maybe exploiting some unintentional loopholes that are in the code that we'd like to tie up. So this would just impose a 6-month, no longer than 180-day temporary land use restriction on accessory structures in the city. And then Miss Ellis in my office is working on that. I'm sure Mr. McElrath, as he gets on board, will have some input. But we just want to be able to plug some of those and make sure that the code is reflecting what we actually wanted as policy.
Nick, I just have one question. So, I mean, it's a moratorium-ish, but it's actually not, because we'll still allow permits to be issued, with the caveat that if anything changes in our policy while they're in the process of this 180-day period, they will have to change it, right?
Yes, that's how we're trying to couch it, so that we can allow people to go forward with the understanding that kind of proceed at your own risk.
Why don't we just do a moratorium? Wouldn't that just be cleaner and easier and
Can I?
better?
I want to have
Go ahead.
my discussion on this. I think we should table this. And the reason I believe we should table it, you're asking us to perform a moratorium here, basically. I don't have anything in my packet. I don't know the reasons why we would do a moratorium. I don't know any individual cases other than the one that's been stated in the one neighborhood. And you're asking the council, there's approximately 10,000 residents, something 9,500 to 10,000 residents in Kaysville. I know of maybe one or two that I've heard of where there's issues, because this ordinance is a very robust ordinance. It's very specific, it's very clear, it is quite restrictive, and it was designed by the Planning Commission and Council to take care of not only the resident and the person doing it, and also the neighbor next to them. That's why there was certain things done. And I'm not saying maybe there isn't some things that need to be, but if I'm asked to do a moratorium as a council member, I want some documentation. I want some black and white. I want to know some actual reasons why I'm creating a moratorium, because we've had people out there, citizens, who have probably came in, found out what the requirements were, and I don't know if you've gone through the process of getting a building permit or whatever. You're a person who wants to build a detached garage, accessory building in your yard. The first thing you do is you come to the city, you find out what the requirements are. I assume that's what they would have done. That would have been early on in the process. Most people don't know how to build. They don't know what to do. So the next process they do is they contact a contractor. Well, this contractor, they don't know how to do the plans. They don't know what to do. So they've been told what the city requirements are. So they're in the middle of this. This process could be 3 months before they even get to the city to apply for a permit. And in order to get that contractor, I'm sure there was a price agreed on, and 50% down, which came out of their construction loan, is being paid to that contractor. And then to all of a sudden do a moratorium, I think is unjust and unfair, especially where I don't have any documentation for an action item. So my recommendation would be, let's table this.
Okay.
Bring back the documentation.
Can I pause you for just a minute? We
Sure.
do have two people signed up to speak.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't
Sorry
know
about that. That's okay. We'll let these two, Paul Toller and Susan Harris. Did you signed up to speak about accessory structures, right?
No, Mayor.
You did not?
Accessory.
Accessory dwelling units.
Okay. Excuse me. Thank you. Okay.
Mayor, if I could just answer your
Go
question.
ahead, okay.
A moratorium, anytime we have a bright line rule, that's obviously easier for staff to
Yeah.
administer.
Okay.
We were trying to balance that. If the council wants to table it, that's perfectly acceptable to staff. Staff has had some concerns about this, and we've talked with some council members about it, and initially had kind of a feeling that we would just work on it. And because there are some limited, although notable, some limited concerns. Staff felt like we should bring it to you after the Planning Commission voted to recommend one. And so that's why it's here, but staff will take any direction that the council wants.
Okay,
And there's
thank you,
another,
Nick.
one more reason. I just.
Well, let me address.
Oh.
So Paul and Susan, you signed up under 60, which is accessory structures. Did you want to speak about ADUs instead?
I did, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. And Susan, are you here? ADUs? Okay, so I'll just, go ahead, Councilmember Blackham.
And the other thing is I don't want the confusion of dealing with accessory buildings to be confused with detached accessory dwelling units. So I'd love to get the detached accessory dwelling unit portion done before we start working on accessory buildings. I think there's a huge confusion of the two, and they are two completely separate animals.
I couldn't agree more with the public comments that have been signed up. I mean, that's, I think, evidence of what you're talking about exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So if there's a lot of discussion, keep going, but my recommendation would be to table this to a future meeting after we get the detached accessory dwelling units, and then come up with the specifics of why you want to create a moratorium so that I can go see why, and if there's more than one or two, because there's a lot of residents, and if there's one or two, that means you're usually doing things okay. It's when you have 10 or 15, and I've seen things go before councils when they've created a moratorium, it's because they've had meeting after meeting after meeting where there has been problems. I don't know of them personally.
We're happy to look into that and get that information.
Okay, point of order really quick. So people did sign up to speak about accessory dwellings, but it's a work item, so we don't really have public comment during that time. How should I handle it? Would you guys like to say something about accessory dwellings anyway?
Mayor, you can handle that
We can
however
do
you'd
that
like.
however we want, right?
Because of the confusion, you
Okay.
could open that up.
Okay, so we'll wait for that discussion. Go ahead, Paul, we'll wait. Okay. All right, so is that a motion?
I'd make a
Councilman?
motion that we table accessory structure temporary land use regulations.
Okay.
Are we going to have more discussion after the motion?
I'll second.
We can have discussion, we can have a motion, we can have, yeah.
Okay, can I say a few things, Mayor? Okay.
I was just going
Are
to
we allowed
say,
to talk before it resolves,
because there's
Nick?
been a motion and a second,
There's a motion and a second, but
now we
before
can
your vote,
discuss.
we can have a discussion.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I love it.
Go ahead.
Are we good, Nick?
We're a little bit out of
Yeah,
order.
it's a little bit of an aberration from Robert's rules, but.
I can make
feel free.
a substitute motion if I need to.
You're fine.
Okay. My position on this has been that it's very similar to what we looked at with the car washes. I feel pretty informed on this. I've been and seen multiple of these, and I've received information on others who think it may be too restrictive. So I think that there are people who are seeing this ordinance from both sides and saying it's not quite fitting what we want it to do. But aside from that, I don't think this is a knee-jerk reaction. I think similar to car washes, the impact of allowing even one or two more of these is astronomical on the properties around them. It's disproportionate. It's similar to what we were just talking about on the equestrian item. Individuals have purchased homes. Our ordinance is allowing things to be built that completely make their property unpleasant to them. And I think that's a very similar concept to what we said with the equestrian center. So for me, I don't feel like this is a knee-jerk reaction. I feel like we have enough data with the few that I've been able to observe and speak with staff about. I appreciate that when I came in to talk to Nick, he also reminded me that we do receive quite a few applications for accessory buildings and only have a few issues. Like, I can't remember how many, maybe 25 still going with only one or two where we have concerns. But to me, the disproportionate impact on the properties around them make it worthwhile to put a temporary land use restriction on this. Additionally, this restriction would run through the winter, and I think it's unlikely that very many properties would be even applying to build any kind of property like this during that time frame. So I think it's a good timing for it, and I think it's worthwhile to look at putting in this temporary land use restriction right now as opposed to tabling it.
Councilman Hunt, you've got to tell me specifically what in our ordinance is not working. Tell me specifically, exactly, because I've got it here, and I want to know exactly what's not working.
Setbacks.
How
The
come?
setbacks.
Why? What is not working about the setbacks? Because they took a lot of time, the councils and the planning commission before took an amazing amount of time to make sure those setbacks worked.
Well, I take a lot of time crocheting, and I still can't make a doily. They may have spent a lot of time on it, Mike, but
No, it wasn't
there's
a doily.
something
It wasn't a
there-
doily. It was somebody's $200,000 investment. So I'm trying, you tell me why I want to put a moratorium on something. Give me something specific, because you want an action item. I want it specifically.
No, but you said that they spent a lot of time on the ordinance, and now you're trying to argue with me that they've spent a lot of time coming and getting
You don't
in
think
with
they
the
use
ordinance. I
different
think they're
scenarios?
separate things. I do think that when a contractor comes in and puts in a lot of effort, I think that's a valuable
Okay, so
piece
one
of
of the
time. But I think
things-
it's separate from the time that went into
Okay,
making the
one of the
ordinance.
things I have heard is because you say the height restriction. But if you are a person and you want to build a detached accessory building, the 12-foot number was a number that had to come in there in order for somebody to put a 10-foot door. When somebody puts an accessory building in their backyard, and it's right at the back of their yard, and you have to come down the side yard, in order to put a 10-foot door in there, you need a 10-foot opening, you need a header that goes above it, you need the two top plates, and then you went on we said, okay, you got to have that at least so you can get a 10-foot door. so that you can put that garage there in order to back a boat, a motor home, a trailer, the things that people use them for. You have to have a minimum of a 10-foot door. They won't fit in an 8-foot door. In order to get a 10-foot door, you have to do this. And we said, okay, but we don't want that to go straight up and make it. So they said, let's put a 45-degree angle. So if you're standing there and looking at it, that 12 feet goes at a 45-degree angle away. So if that's what you're talking about, there was so much time and effort put into that to allow people to put their motorhomes, their trailers, their boats into that garage, and that's the only way you could possibly do it. He says, well, why don't you push it back in? Have you ever tried to back a trailer and something down a 10-foot wide driveway, and if you have to offset it, it's not possible. You can't physically do it. So we have these great big lots in West Kaysville, but you can't put a garage there that you can function and get a motorhome, a boat, or whatever in there. So if you're saying you want to put a moratorium on detached garages because of the height, the height was looked at probably the number one thing so that people were able to at least get a 10-foot door so they could put that stuff in their accessory building.
Well, but Mike, I think what I'm trying to say is it may be perfect. We may look at it and decide that it is perfect and that we like it just the way it is. But the issues that we're having are so egregious in some cases that it's worthwhile to stop and say, let's take a look.
No, I think
Okay.
that's not true. I don't think it is
Sorry, Mayor.
egregious when you
Okay.
have one.
Let's do this. Appreciate
Okay.
your comments, both of you. We have a motion and we have a second.
Second.
Let's vote on the motion and
Okay.
see where it goes,
Okay.
okay? So Councilmember Adams, you're up.
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
Aye.
And we're voting on the moratorium right now?
We're voting on table.
You're voting to table
We're
it.
Table
We're
it, table
voting
it.
to table it.
Then take the ordinance back, fix it, and come back with some suggestions.
And will you do that at the next meeting? Is that what
You
you're
can
saying?
do it, you can, future meeting. Just table it for now, because there's people who have probably got $100,000 in contractors.
I want to talk if.
Everyone's talking.
Because I have an opinion
Robert's
here.
rules are there
Let's
for a
hear this.
reason. Very
I
clearly.
mean, because obviously I'm going to be the tiebreaker here, so I got to, what do you have to say
Well,
here?
we're already voting, I don't know.
Yeah, if they have a current permit that's approved, they're in process.
So they're in the
There's no
process.
play.
If they have a permit, they're vested.
Yes.
But they can't just convert it into an ADU without a.
No, we're not talking
a
ADU.
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying, though. They couldn't just convert it. So we're talking about just blanket external dwelling unit, or external buildings. Accessory buildings.
Yes.
To put a moratorium on this,
So this vote is to table
Indefinitely.
the discussion until a later time with more data, or
Okay.
not. Or not.
Just table it so you can come back with some answers you'd like.
did you have something to say on this?
Oh, I do. I didn't
Let's
know
hear
we
it.
could
What do you have to
talk
say?
right
I'm
now.
curious now.
Seriously. Okay, the reason why I voted the way I did is because this actually puts our feet to the fire and moves it forward to get to a good decision. By tabling it, I've given it some thought. Don't necessarily disagree, but that doesn't really move us forward, and this at least moves us forward 180 days. So.
Yeah, that's true. It does move us
Tabling
forward.
Something without any documentation, why? I don't get it. I mean, you're putting a moratorium on something you don't have
Okay,
physical
go
documentation.
ahead,
I
Councilmember
don't get it.
McBride. Please place your vote.
So I either say, yes, we're tabling it, or no, we're not.
Right, and if you say no, we're not, then that means we're not tabling it, which means then we,
We would open it for another motion.
yes, for another motion on the actual item.
Okay, I say we open it for another motion. So is that a nay then, or a yay?
That's a nay.
It's a nay, okay.
Yeah, that's a
Okay,
nay. Okay. Okay, so that motion fails.
Okay.
Thank you. And I will entertain a new motion on item 6D.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve item 6D, accessory structures temporary land use restriction.
Thank you. And to be clear, what this does is it gives 180 days for us to think about it, work on the policy, let people still apply while we're working through it, but give them the notice that it could change their design. Okay.
Yes.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Hunt.
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Nay.
Motion carries. Yes. Okay, thank you. So we will, yes. We'll move on. Okay, sounds
I
good.
get it.
Okay, everybody, what time is it? It's 9? Oh,
It's 8:50. yeah.
Okay, we're still good. All right. Discussion, we have a work item, 7A, discussion regarding ordinances amending various chapters of the Kaysville City Code to comply with state legislative changes. This is talking about Planning Commission responsibilities and rules. Go ahead, Nick.
Thank you. This is an ordinance that would do kind of two things. We've kind of combined them. It would bring the city code into compliance with Senate Bill 284, and that really involves removing planning commission members and when they have a conflict of interest and what would require them to recuse themselves. We also noticed several years ago, we altered our administrative appeal process and we had an ALJ. And we've noticed as we've gone just the last several years, we keep noticing little spots. And in fact, since we've drafted this, we've noticed one more actually. So this would just clarify that up, make sure that all those go to the ALJ, and then there's a number of grammatical changes basically that are being made.
Okay, Nick, I do have one question. So on items 10C, it says we have 45 days to, approve, deny, et cetera. Can we include the word complete application or something like that? Or is that just already implied, that it would have to be based on?
Yeah, I believe that's already implied.
Okay.
And the 45 days is an ability for a developer to request that.
Right.
So they would need, before they could request that, we would require they had a complete
Okay, all right, sounds good. So maybe mostly clerical changes, and just to let people know, we've not had any issues with conflicts of interest or behavior or anything else. This is just state law telling us what to do.
Yep.
Giving us some more clarity, okay? All right, discussion? Seeing none, ready for a motion? Okay, who wants to do it?
I'll make a motion that we approve work item A.
Okay.
Do you care if I just call it A?
That's fine.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Councilmember Jackson.
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you for that. All right, our next work item is the discussion regarding amendments to the code, internal accessory dwelling to comply with Senate Bill 284 regarding detached accessory dwelling units. Okay, so most of us know that this is going to be an ADU discussion. I can imagine that it would be long. We do have two people that wanted to speak about this. Normally, we don't allow that, but since there's a lot of confusion, go ahead and come up. So we have Paul Toller and Susan Harris, and then we'll have a presentation about it so that you don't have to... You can make your points.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. I've tossed and turned a little bit since last Thursday night. I've had some additional thoughts on the accessory dwelling. On pages 177 and 178 of your packet, we have a chart that was built, and I appreciate Mr. Summercorn's great efforts to try to put our discussion as a planning commission on single level, double level, and have this variable chart on setbacks. My thought is, let's scrap that. Let's have all accessory dwelling units be one story and go with the setbacks that the city has had and I expect and what I've always had. I think Councilmember Blackham has these memorized. I still need this cheat sheet, but it's useful to keep those same setbacks. Next, there are a couple of items that the legislature gave us in the language. Most of the text isn't very long. That's it, page and a quarter. And most of this is shall nots, but they gave us a few things that we can do. So let's use those, shall we? Let's include language that says we can address window orientation. My suggestion would be that the window be oriented towards the street or the single-family dwelling on the lot, but not adjacent lots. Next, the legislature provides that we may address massing. I know our discussion as a planning commission about massing was how much can we have on one lot, or how many buildings on one lot. I think we should look to see if we might extend that to how many we might have on a street or in an area, and I have a couple of ideas on how we might codify that. Finally, the draft ordinance in your packet does include one really important item. And it was acknowledged by Katie, our city attorney assistant, that there's a little bit of conflicting language. The Utah League of Cities and Towns is aware of it, and the legislature wants to clean it up in the next session. But for now, our draft ordinance includes that any auxiliary dwelling unit, quote, be designed consistent with the design of the single-family dwelling. Let's make sure we use that language. And we need to provide a path for me to convert my accessory building to an auxiliary dwelling unit. But that path should include me bringing that accessory dwelling or that accessory building to look like my home, my single-family dwelling. And it might include me having to move it, or at least one wall, to meet these setbacks. So before an existing auxiliary building is converted to a dwelling unit, let's make sure it comes into harmony with whatever we ultimately build out in our new ordinance.
Fantastic, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul.
Well done, yeah.
Thank you. Sorry that we misunderstood, and this is irregular, so I appreciate your time. My name is Susan Harris, and my comment is on setbacks. And just, I think that the detached are so related to the accessory dwelling that I think that it's a good idea to do that moratorium, because I think you need to fix both. But my comment mostly is about setbacks. And it was similar to what even Councilman Blackham and Abby said, is like, I bought my home in a specific zone with specific setback rules. Saw the plat map, there was a reason why, I did what I did. So did all my neighbors, so did you. Those setbacks that distance a building from, the property lines are part of what we relied on when we chose our homes. And that's the reason why we know how close a structure should ever come to our fence. The state has now mandated that we have to change those things, that they have changed, our town that has, contrary rules right now, our ordinances that prohibit those things. I understand that, but the state did not mandate that we have to change all of those rules. So my question would be, why would a second home in my neighbor's backyard have a smaller setback than the first house? It's not a lawnmower, it's not a shed to put stuff in, people will be in there. They will come and go, they will slam doors, they will play music, they will have gatherings. Think about that. The primary home, the one that people built to live in, the one that faces the street, has to have a certain distance. Some versions of the ordinance, as that's been thrown around, is to have that second dwelling tucked back in a corner closer to my home, which is exactly what has happened. My neighbor built an accessory against the law, an illegal one, with people living on the top floor, and it is 1 foot off my property line. I measured it. That is a problem with the dwelling, with the setbacks. I think it's backwards that we would, shove the second home back into a cornered lot so it's closer to people that, wanted their own privacy, wanted their yard. So I really encourage that we keep those setbacks the same. I think they need to be established. Is that my 3 minutes up?
You're fine. We didn't start the clock.
So I think we need to be really careful on that we keep those the same, because again, people are living in those. It should meet the same in the front yard, the side, the rear setback as the primary home, and the same rules should apply. And I'm here with a group of people, you've all heard from us, but I think we're also here representing all those neighbors that have no idea what can happen until someone starts digging next door and they go, what the heck? Kind of like what I did when my neighbors built theirs. What the heck? So I think we need to, put as tight of a thing on this as we possibly can to start with, because it could go berserk. We could have, you could have another quarter a number of people in the city. Just a quick comment on something that Councilman Blackham said. I was in the old area where we built our garage when it was limited to 12 feet high, or 15. I have an 11-foot door. I put my boat in there. I put my trailer in there. We do not need a building 30 feet high. That is just obnoxious to your neighbors, and I think it's rude besides. But so I think those two tie in. The moratorium, if we fix those things, and the new one, that it would be a great thing to do. So thanks again for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your comments. All right. I'm glad this is a work item. So just so that everyone knows, this is a work item, meaning that we will work on this. I anticipate multiple council meetings having these discussions. So who's presenting this? Or should we just start talking?
Kind of.
Okay.
Well, to be quite transparent, there was some confusion. I'm not sure, Mr. Summercorn came and kind of walked the planning commission through this discussion last Thursday, and I was understanding that he was going to come and help with that tonight. But obviously some miscommunication, so
that's okay.
I'm sure he would have been here otherwise. So I will say, I'll kind of start the process here, but Mr. Mills, in fact, Mayor, even if Mr. McElrath is not a staff member yet, but he was here last week, and if you've got any input as well, if it's okay.
Absolutely.
To chime in as well.
Mayor? Oh, sorry.
Yes, and we've all read it too, so I think we can just have a good discussion.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I don't know if this is possible or appropriate in this meeting to make this recommendation. I think it's okay because it is a work item. I do think that not all neighbors would be as kind to say what the heck. I think there'd be a lot that would probably say cowboy up and say what the hell. But I know,
you've
sorry.
Got in trouble before for swearing.
So poor. It's not. That's not swearing. That's Bible. It's in the Bible. But I do think this is a big enough thing that I would prefer to have like some type of a special meeting where we meet maybe down in the, in tables, and even, I don't know if we want to invite the planning commission or if it's just a meeting where it's with us, but to discuss and build this all within a conversation at the dais seems a little overwhelming to me. And I would feel much more comfortable if it was like the only topic of a meeting, and would be totally comfortable having a separate meeting. I know that's asking a lot, but if everybody felt that way or felt okay with that, I would make that recommendation that we continue to do as a work item, but that maybe we have a separate meeting where we just discuss this.
Yes, I think that's great. We could also have a town hall if we wanted. We definitely want to get some community input. We are under a little bit of a clock, not that, we can't make changes afterwards, but we have until October when? To have a policy in place, October 1st? Okay, so we do have a deadline to have some sort of a policy that we can continue to work on and change, but we want to get as much right as we can going into it, for sure. I have tons of notes, like pages and pages of notes. This is a big deal to our community. Kaysville was one of the cities that has pushed back against a policy for many years. When the legislation came forward, we really advocated and say, okay, if you're going to force us to do it, you better give us a lot of bandwidth in order to make decisions. I see this chart here. I compared state law based upon what we can do, and my understanding is that cities can require the ADU to be designed consistent with the design of the single-family dwelling, right? And so we can be as restrictive in terms of adding those types of requirements as possible without going beyond.
I want to put a little asterisk on that because the league's identified an issue with that.
I know.
Because there is another aspect of the code that says you can't dictate certain things, but yes, and we're looking for a fix on that.
Yes,
so,
okay. So just so you know, we want to be as clear also. There's also a rental portion of this. A long-term rental, I think minimum is 6 months. I think that we should have that at least as a minimum instead of, 3 months. Was it 3 months
I
it's in
think
here?
that the state allows you to have a 90-day.
90 days, right.
Restriction, and that's
Yeah.
in the current draft, actually.
Right. So we do have a lot of, I guess
So
I'll
we
just.
don't have to have it done by October?
We do, we have to have some sort of ordinance in place, but we can continue to tweak it. We just have to have some sort of policy.
So will you clarify one thing for me, Nick, though? It says the cities can't regulate, and it says the following design standards: exterior color, type of style of cladding, but you're saying we can?
Well, there's a discrepancy in the code. And in one section of the code, it says you can regulate certain aspects of the design, and in another one, it says you can't regulate. So the league is aware of that issue.
Okay.
And they're working through a legislative fix. So kind of the direction they've given, and I'll let Brad speak more to this if he wants to work for free tonight. The kind of the direction that we've been given is to kind of err more on the side of saying it's got to match design standards in a general way and not call out specific.
So it's not specifically, my understanding, when they first wrote the bill, was it so that they couldn't put Connex boxes in and things like that?
Yeah.
But they couldn't tell you couldn't use vinyl siding or hardy board if you wanted to, even though it wasn't on the house, but you couldn't use a Connex box. That's what I thought the bill was
Yeah,
talking about.
I think that, I think the code is a little ambiguous on what you can do, but I think if somebody came forward with a plan and they're just like, we just want to drop a Connex box in the backyard, I think that the
Then you
city
can
would.
say no.
The city could push back on that, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless their current house is like a
I think that it's really important as we look at different properties in Kaysville, like, if your house backs the trail, I don't think your neighbors are going to care what your ADU looks like so much as someone in a neighborhood where you've got 5 fences touching. And so I think maybe it would be appropriate to have some what's the word I'm looking for? Different areas that are kind of identified as maybe different products being allowed. I don't know if that's okay or not, but I think that would be a good idea. People have mentioned 1 story. I think that single story for sure is very appropriate in the middle of a neighborhood. But if you're backing a trail or you're backing your own property and then I don't think that it would be a big problem to have a 2-story. If I was going to build an ADU, I would want to build a 2-story just because it maximizes the ability for my family to go and have fun and to have, recreate and everything else. So, I've got so many things, so I don't even know where to start as far as, should we just have an open discussion? Like, what would we like to see? Is that the direction that you want from us?
Mayor, I think that, there's certainly a lot to talk about here. And we have, as you said, we have a deadline coming. As just sort of a high-level observation, knowing that deadline's coming, we've been given certain restrictions that we can implement here by the state, and there's been a lot of public comment as well shared on this that maybe we should start with the most restrictive that we can go on most of this, and then as we have time to slowly just kind of see what works. If maybe we do something different for properties that back up to the rail trail, like you said, or other areas that might have an opportunity to do something different, but it might be easier to start restrictive and then slowly, as we have time, see what's working and ease up on some of those restrictions where it might be appropriate. Just sort of the general. And I think tonight, even though it's probably a lot to try to work this out from the dais, if we could get I think there's a few key things that we'd love to hear from the council, if there's a general opinion, just so that staff could sort of take the next step in drafting some language to run by the council at the next, whether it's a work session we have with the planning commission or bring it back here for a work item. But obviously there's been a lot of discussion on height. Do we want to go? Is the council's consensus, for example, 1 story right now, and then maybe we consider down the road we look at something higher?
Okay.
I like your recommendation. Sorry.
I would say, no, just setbacks are huge. I think that is absolutely impacting people's lives.
Yeah.
And so I think we definitely want to look at being as restrictive as we can there. Mike, nobody wants me backing anything out, including my own car sometimes, but into a really narrow garage. So your building perspective of why things are built the way they are is really helpful to me. at the same time, I think that we just need to be really
Well,
careful. So I think setbacks, heights,
And
windows.
I totally agree with the young lady out here. I think there's a big difference between somebody living in a house behind in your backyard than parking your motorhome in a detached garage.
Yeah.
And for me, as you know, I've been against these from day one.
Right.
So I love the single story, 11,000 square foot minimum.
Yeah.
Layton's, I like the single story 16 foot in height. I've heard, she said 20. I think Layton's was 16. And I like the idea because all of our R1s, almost other than the RAs, the rear yard setback for a dwelling is 15 feet. So 15 feet and the side yard setback of 8 and 15 at a single story, then maybe these things wouldn't be so difficult to deal with, and you would actually meet the setbacks of the dwelling that could have pushed it back or whatever and been the same, so.
I think.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, John.
No, I was just going to say, like, I think that I agree with you, Jason, and maybe you could give us a list of those things that you feel like you need tonight, maybe, or even just ask us those questions as they come. It sounds like one of the first things you're asking is height, which I think I would agree, single story. I would say that the elements of what maybe the minutia that we need to get into is that, for example, in my neighborhood, when they built my house, because I had a basement, the first story is, I would say, like 8 feet, 10 feet maybe high, the first story, because the water table is so low that the basement actually is only, I think, 3 feet down. And so if you hadn't addressed that prior to, then you would be saying, okay, single stories are allowed, but maybe the height keeps that from happening. I don't know, Mike could say, but then you could maybe make a flat roof, or so people are doing a single story, but the first story is pretty high because there's a basement. So I just think that those are the types of things that maybe would take a few hours to work through and may not. I agree with you. If we start restrictive, then we can decrease, but we might miss some things, and maybe that's fine. Maybe we figure that out as we go, but I guess we could say no basements, and that would solve that. But at the same time, I don't want to totally restrict basements. Basements are kind of nice and place to store things. So, that's the thing. I want to figure this out because, like Paul said, if it were my house right now, and it was only single story, off of the single story, you could see into someone's backyard. And that would be a nuisance. So having the windows only point certain directions, that helps. I think we just got to figure, it just feels like it's going to take a lot of time to do
So
that.
maybe we'll give you our privacy.
Yeah, ask the questions, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah, height, privacy, setbacks, I think are important. I think even on a side yard, I think we should have a discussion about that, because if you have a side yard, I think it's like a front yard, I really do. You see it from the main street. I know that not everyone might agree with me, but if it's, I think that should be a separate look, in my opinion. I think that the house should as much match as possible as we can require the main home. I think that that's really troublesome to people. Historic districts, do we need to have a separate ADU policy or DADU for the historic areas? I want to make sure that someone can't just bring in a mobile home and stick it on the property and count that as an ADU. And maybe that's an impossible thing and they couldn't anyway. But we don't want people just parking in their RV and saying it's really big, and so now that's our ADU, and now people are going to rent it. I think it should be a long-term rental, not a short-term. And something that Paul brought up, and for those who don't know, Paul's on Planning Commission, doing a great job. But I think that you're the one that brought up something that people should have to attest to. Does my HOA allow it? Do the CCNRs allow it? Not that the city regulates either one, but I think that they should at least have to tell us that they believe that it is allowed, because I think it keeps us in the clear, and it would minimize a lot of frustrations, because I'm sure most people don't even check those things.
Whether or not the city thinking it does need to get back,
Yeah, you need to come to the, will you come to the mic if you have a comment? Okay. And I don't mean to monopolize the conversation, it's just, I think we've all
No,
put a
it's
lot
good.
of comment and thought into it, but.
Thank you, Mayor. Recognizing that the city's not going to get into the enforcement of it, I still think it's useful as an applicant. I make an affirmative representation. Hey, my HOA says I can build this. My CCNRs say I may do this. So that would at least put the burden on the applicant that they've investigated that they're aware of that, and they're not building something contrary to what all their neighbors are relying on.
Great,
Thank you.
absolutely.
How does that,
Oh, sorry.
oh, no. I was just gonna say, how does that work where the state's regulating that you do it? Like, I'm not trying to create a legal battle between homeowners associations and the state, but how do those two jive?
Yeah, so homeowners, those are private. That's different because
Civil.
you can, yeah, it's a contractual agreement that you've made with private parties.
Uh-huh.
So it's a very different regulatory scheme than when the government tries to regulate what you can do with your property. You can basically contract to do whatever you want, like to have any kind of restrictions you want on your property with private parties. The government just can't force you to, you could have a CCNR that says everybody's house has to be blue. The government could never require that of a neighborhood, but you could contract for that privately all day long, no
Yeah,
problems.
but if the government came out and said, every house is allowed to not be blue, would that trump the contract that you made with someone within an area, I guess, is that?
Blue HOA, yeah.
Within the HOA. I mean, that's, I guess, where I'm trying to come from is what does the battle look like between someone saying, no, the government just said you have to allow these, and you guys made a contract saying you can't have these, but.
Well, generally, if the government allows it, then you can contract not to do that. Right?
Oh, okay.
So, the government allows you to own a car in any color. You could contract to only buy a red car.
Okay.
Totally fine.
Okay.
The problem comes the opposite when the CCRs say you can have a car in any color, and the government forces you to buy red cars, then the government's committed to taking.
So, yeah, in that regard, I do wonder why, I tend to agree with Paul. I don't know, should I call him Commissioner Toller? In the sense that it does make sense that they should have to at least present in their application what their CCNRs say.
Commissioner Toller and I spoke about this in all candor several months ago, and we're in the process of working on that. Honestly, the legal staff is just waiting for Mr. McElrath. It kind of fell in that slot right as Ms. Greenwood was departing, and so that is something we are going to pursue.
Okay,
Sure.
cool.
What are some other items, council, that we
I want to make sure
prioritizing?
they're clear on that. I mean, there's that one aspect that says that if we've got something written in there that it's 10% of the, or 50% of whatever, but not larger than 1,200 square feet. But does that mean if you went 2-story, can it be 2,400 square feet? I want it to be, so we need to dictate if we go to the second story, which I hope we don't, it's total square footage. We need to figure that out, so you can't just double the size by adding a story or a basement or whatever. I mean, basements aren't as quite obtrusive as second floors are, and I mean, they're not as.
But I'm saying that if you restrict it to 1,200 square feet, then you've just made it so you could only have a 600-foot.
What you have to be careful is.
Mike?
Yeah, sorry.
No, if you restrict it to 1,200 square feet, then you restrict a basement.
Yeah, it's the whole structure.
Well, that's
right?
what we're saying. We need to define whether the 1,200 square feet is going to be per floor, or is it going to be, if we allow second floors, is it going to allow it to be 2,400? I don't think that's what we want. I think we want these to be accessory and as small as we can get away with and still make them work, I guess. And that's why, I mean, right now, Right now, our accessory building ordinance says that you can't have an accessory building larger than 10% of the lot.
Right.
So if you had an 8,000 square foot lot, it couldn't be more than 800 square feet. That's what it says. But in this
But the
case, it's
new-
11,000. So what we're saying right now, what we kind of said was 50% of the footprint of the existing building, house and garage, and let's say it's 5,000 square feet. So that would be 2,500 square feet or 1,200 square feet, whichever's smaller. But if you're
Right.
saying, can you have 1,200 square feet if it's 2 floors? I'm saying 1,200 square feet should be the total.
Right, and all I'm saying is that I'm perfectly in agreement with it only being 1 floor. But if you restrict it to just 1,200 square feet total, you're essentially saying no basements.
Potentially.
Potentially, because you'd be saying that you'd be building like a 600 square foot up and down. So,
Mr. Summercorn.
Paul, come up.
Mr. Summercorn has a laboring pen on this, acting as staff, but one thought would be 1,200 feet above grade.
Yeah.
And it could
Okay, because I don't want to go into the code portion of it, but it's not considered a story until it's at least 4 feet out of the ground for more than 50% of the building, or 6 feet for more than 50%. But that's still a basement till you get to that. So
Yeah.
that's where the 1 story comes in and can be a big deal.
and I think, I think that's just my point is
Yeah.
that we have to be careful because we may, and that's fine if that's the route we go, but
No,
single story, I think, Jason, it sounds like.
I guess that, Mayor, if I may, I think we're getting some consensus, it sounds like. One way to ask the question would be, is there anyone on the council that feels that there's any portion of this that should be a little more flexible than what required? Because it's sounding like it's be as restrictive mostly as we can be. And obviously, I want to know that so that we can draft something that we bring back to the council that's likely to get some traction. Is there any area that someone's feeling that maybe we can look at that should be more open?
I would, if it backs a trail, I think that it could be less restrictive.
What about if it has a garage underneath it? Are we saying we cannot do that? We can't have a garage and then this go on top of the garage, even if we squat it down a little bit or something?
Does that make it an internal accessory dwelling unit if it's attached to the top of the garage?
No, if you do a detached garage,
Oh, detached garage,
a detached
okay.
garage, you cannot put one of these on top of it. Is that what we're saying?
That's what we're saying.
That's what we're saying.
Okay.
I think that's the same as if it were a 2-story.
Okay.
Same negative aspects.
And again, there's going to be plenty of time to go back and see, hey, maybe we can do this differently or this. There certainly will be discussions there. And I think there's also a lot of low-hanging fruit that I want to make sure we're picking off. When we had the discussion with the Planning Commission, they already recommended that we go to the maximum on short-term rentals, which is 90 days. Requiring also that only 1 ADU be allowed per property. So even if you have an existing internal ADU, that's it. That's like you get one or the other, but you can't have both. I think also we've talked a little bit about the design standards. So as Mr. Mills pointed out, we can't regulate design, but there is one section of the bill that talks about you can allow design consistent with the existing single-family structure on the property. And no one, as we've talked about, no one really knows what that means, and that's going to be fixed later on, expecting in the next legislative session. But for now, we can include that exact language that the code allows us, or the statute allows us to include. So we'll figure out what that means down the road. But I think what I'm hearing is go with what those low-hanging fruits are already, I think, agreed to, and that was recommended by the Planning Commission as well.
My only exception would be, I think that we should use long-term rental minimums instead of
90
short-term.
days is what's allowed.
Long-term, I think, is 6 months.
I think it allows you to go up to 90 days, but I think that's.
I think that's in the statute.
I don't think you can require it to be any less than 90 days or any more than 90 days.
We can't, according to the law?
That's my understanding of this statute.
You're saying the statute requires you to
Allow short-term rentals?
allow 3-month rentals? I mean, almost any,
Prohibits units from being rented less than 90 days.
Yeah. Paul, you can just stay up there.
This is the section, the mays. Remember I said there's a lot of we can'ts. This, we may require that it be rented for not less than 90 consecutive days.
So we could expand it to be 6 months minimum,
Rented,
right?
Not less than.
I think you'd be stuck with 90 or longer.
Okay, we can't, okay, is that what you're saying? Well, maybe we could tweak that. Okay.
You know what, though? Most people renting aren't going to do 90-day rentals. They're going to do 1 year
Unless
required.
it's a summer, you could rent it for the summer.
Yeah, I guess so. But I guess my point is
very little.
like, this is one of those where we would put that in there, but I think that the majority of people, if they are renting, are going to want a 1 year commitment. And you actually are the only person that
absolutely.
maybe owns, I don't know, maybe other, but I think that that's pretty common to do a 1
It
year.
is. Yep.
And I think what helps us with the 90 days that we now divert from maybe the Airbnb
That's what we don't.
Right.
rental type thing, so.
And
I
that's,
imagine that was, I
that's-
apologize, Councilmember Black.
that's where the 30-day comes in. There's people all over the country that will rent homes for 30 days,
For sure,
and we don't want that.
right.
I would propose, even along trails, though, that we still keep it consistent to the single story, because oftentimes, how do you define a trail down near the equestrian center? There's a lot of trails that run between homes, and there's not a lot of room there. There's, and also there's other trails in the city where there's a lot of trees and it's beautiful and you kind of feel like you're out in nature. And then suddenly if you allow tall accessory dwelling units right along that trail, it kind of detracts from the purpose. And so I would just propose that we just kind of keep it consistent and more strict at this point.
What other direction would you like?
I think the big one that we haven't maybe talked about head on is the lot size. So obviously the state requires 11,000 and up, but the planning commission was considering 10,000. What's the council's sense on that?
11,000 and up.
Mayor.
I would say the 11,000, and the reason I say that is because we're talking lots now, we're not talking zoning, we're talking lots. There are many lots that are in R18 subdivisions, R110 subdivisions that are 11,000 square feet would be able to put these in. So we're not really limiting where they can go in the city, we're just limiting to the size of the lot, and that's what we're trying to do, is make the lot as big as we possibly can to have this, so it's, I guess
Yeah,
that's.
go ahead.
Can I add something to that? And if this doesn't go anywhere, that's fine. I'm fine with 11,000 square feet. But I do think one of the things I bring to this council is just the perspective of having a younger family. And I think younger families are generally purchasing smaller lots. And I think what a DADU allows you to do with your property is not necessarily to capitalize it by putting renters on it, although I'm sure people will do that, but to use your property to your best advantage, to have, maybe if you're an older individual with there's a lot of lots in the R18 zone that are long and deep and that would provide, I think, for privacy while still having one of these, but maybe having your kids move in until they can get a home of their own, or as a younger family, having an elderly relative come in and live with you. And I think by capping that at 11,000 square feet, we're essentially saying we could potentially fulfill the setback requirements of a home, like an R18 home, but we're not going to let you do that. And I think that's unfair to residents that live in those properties. But like I said, if we're not going to go there, we're not going to go there. But I wanted to add that perspective because I think it's important to consider the fact that this is a huge impact to a lot of people. It may impact the neighbors. These are all going to impact the neighbors. And that's why I think the most important thing we can do on these isn't necessarily the lot size, but the setback requirements and making those so strict, making the homes shorter, making them wide. Because I do think that if we were to implement this with the setback requirements in each zone, so like say a DADU and an R18 has to fulfill the requirements of a regular home in an R18, we're still going to get a disproportionately low number of R18 properties that are going to qualify for this as opposed to R111 or R120. this is going to massively impact the west side of town. I think there are going to be very few properties over on the east side of town that are in the R18 area that are going to fulfill this. And so I think it would be, or could be beneficial to those people to allow them to do that with their property. But again, it's neither here nor there. It's something I just want to put out.
Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Okay.
I
Good.
think that's pretty good input.
Okay.
Also, we've got in there, you've got to have owner occupied on the primary.
Absolutely.
That's
Right.
an obvious one. I guess the question too is, for next steps, do we want to have a joint work session or we could?
Yeah, I think that would be great.
I mean, I don't even know that we need necessarily for it to be joint. I think just a work session that we can
Just more informal?
feel more informal, I would say, and maybe even include, I mean, we've got now an expert that's coming on board. I don't think, you don't need to wear ties in the future if you don't want to. But anyway, I just think that I would be remiss if we didn't have it be more informal and more focused just on this. And my recommendation for staff would be that it come to us more in a segmented, here's this, let's talk about this, just like we've just kind of done right now, but we've been a little scattered, where it actually goes through every single thing that we need to address, and we check the box, and then we move on to the next thing, check that box, move on to the next thing. And that way we've hit all of the different things, and then once we're done, we can then bring it back as an action item. I would feel more comfortable doing that.
Or just what if we just directed the city to put into place kind of the wishes tonight, and the next council meeting, we treat it as a work session, and then if it's needed, set up something between that and the council meeting after?
I don't know. If you think that's good enough, I don't know. It's hard for me to absorb everything like that I mean, we've gone over so many things, and that's going to be the next meeting. We're going to go over so many things, and it's like, this is one of those that I feel like we really need to just dedicate one meeting to, but.
I'm on board with you. Even if we had some people from the planning commission just come.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah.
And they could talk openly and just, we could have a nice open conversation. That'd be great.
Yeah, they have to sit further away, but.
I think what you're hearing is we'd like a separate work session.
And
Okay.
so, the other thing I just want to say, because to advocate more for the single-story portion of it, is the fact that if you can be restrictive on the detached accessory building, you still need to understand that if I want to live with them in my home, I can do an addition to my home and build a 2-story interior accessory dwelling unit, and they lives in my house, and there are no restrictions other than the setbacks of the subdivision that it's in. So that gives a lot of people, if you're concerned about the lots, the smaller lots or whatever, well, if I want this realistically, as long as I have a 6,000 square foot lot and I want to call it an addition to my home, I'm only required to meet the setbacks of that subdivision or that zoning. So it does give a lot of flexibility to a lot of homes.
I think what we also want to make sure is that, and it probably will happen, where people do have garages in place already or external buildings, and then they don't tell us that they're ADUs, but then they convert them to ADUs. I'd like to see some policy to enforce that,
Prison.
or regulate that, or some prison.
6 months in prison.
Because I have heard rumors of people just adding bathrooms and, kitchenettes and stuff like that. So we don't want people to abuse what we're doing, or incentivize them to abuse what we're trying to accomplish, so.
I think this will increase code enforcement activity.
Yes, it will.
Sure.
But my
Good luck.
Maybe we should get a code
understanding
enforcement
is,
person.
right now, though, don't we have something in your thing that you said if you find somebody in violation, that it's $100 a day lien until they're in compliance?
Yeah, there's something in there, but.
Yeah, and so, that's pretty big incentive to fix it.
If you don't
I
get
think that
caught.
should stay.
Yeah, that should.
As far as the format for the next, would the council be open to maybe having, to make it more informal and more of a work session environment other than, not being up here on the dais? Have it down here, maybe start early at, say, 6 o'clock or something before the next
That'd be
meeting is
great.
September 3rd. We could start at 6 o'clock and just have, or even start earlier, 5 o'clock if
Let's start
I'd probably say
earlier.
we'd need to do earlier.
I think it should be like a budget work session where we can all just sit down, pencil it out, and get something in play.
It could be on a Friday morning if you'd like.
Yeah, or maybe a Tuesday or a Monday.
What?
Okay, maybe another day. Well,
Councilmember
yeah,
Hunt, I know
it would be a
you're
public
back
meeting,
in-
so public would be invited.
Is there-
Would a weeknight work though, for the council, or do you prefer a day?
Do you know the app?
Tuesdays are
Have you seen that
booked
app where you
from,
can
like,
send out
9
a
to
bunch of
9:30?
different options
the
and
doodle poll?
doodle poll?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, all right, sounds good. All right, okay, so are we ready to
Definitely not an answer.
finish this conversation?
And yeah, I mean, I'd recommend that it happen after Senor is on staff.
Yes, in 2 weeks, right? Okay. All right, we cannot wait for you. We've got a list of these. Okay, thanks, everybody. We have a couple more things to do. So let's move on to item 7C, which is discussion of a contract extension with Robinson Waste.
Can I just make a motion that we move this to an action item? I think this is so, pretty obvious, and I wish that it was already an action item so we could just approve it, but I don't know, we can't do that because of Robertson
It's just a work item.
rules of law, which is interesting because this is Robinson Waste.
Okay, do you want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we move work item C to be an action item in the next meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Councilmember McBride, I don't know who we're on, but.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you. All right, councilmember reports. Anything? We've shared our souls tonight, so I don't.
Yes, we
really
have.
Not much more to talk about. I know. Okay, all right, nothing?
Nothing.
Okay, Jason?
Real quick, we're probably tomorrow going to be pushing out the well-being survey results. So Kaysville participated in the Utah Well-Being Survey along with 56 other cities. This was kind of in support with Utah State University, the Utah League of Cities and Towns, and it really just measured the general attitudes of residents towards life in Kaysville. And
Good
overall,
feedback.
the results were very positive. People love living in Kaysville. They love it for what it is. That small town, hometown feel. And really the biggest takeaway was don't change too much. Try to keep that character, so nothing surprising. But we're going to put those results out in the newsletter and on Facebook starting probably the next day or two.
Thank you, that'll be great. And really an emphasis on, we need more community, right? Community-type gathering reasons to gather.
Great, yes.
Yeah.
That was one key takeaway, just the more we can do to support connectivity. We rate okay, for our size and just the growth we've had, but I think there's always opportunities to do better. We've got great participation in some of our city events, but with the field house investment, things like that, I think we'll have more opportunities to improve that connectivity.
Fantastic, thank you. All right, thank you. Okay, would someone like to make a motion to adjourn? We have one more meeting after this.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right, can we just move forward?
Yeah, we need a motion to open the,
Okay.
open the architecture.
I'll motion that we open
Okay.
the second portion, Kaysville Business Park Architectural Review Committee meeting.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, board members. So we have before us a consideration of an illuminated wall sign for Academia West at 290 North Flint Street, Suite A. Sorry that you have had to sit here for 5 hours. Not really 5 hours, I shouldn't do math in public, but for several hours. Thanks. Okay.
Mayor, this is a sign on the Academica West building. They're allowed to have a sign, it looks like to be approximately 222 square feet. This is a 24.86 square foot sign. It fits the code as we reviewed it. This is kind of what what's going to look like. We'd recommend approval.
Thank you. You're here. Would you like to come up and tell us about your sign? I mean, you sat through the meeting, so we should give you the mic.
So there's not much to it. It's just 2 letters.
Right.
They already have one facing south. They just wanted a little bit more exposure, so that's it.
Fantastic.
Robert Severe, I'm sorry.
Would they be interested in doing WA instead?
I never asked for
I'm
it.
kidding. I'm kidding. Ah, ha, ha.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion that we approve, that we approve the illuminated wall sign.
I'll second that.
Okay, board members. Board member Adams.
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you so much. Congratulations on your sign. Have a good night.
Make a motion that we adjourn the meeting, Business Park Architectural Review Committee.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Great meeting. Oh, my gosh.
Sorry.
No, sorry. That was